Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's your boy Abti Hamsa. Here we are on another episode of the Abti podcast. Unfortunately, we've had to let go of Ahmed, had to let go of Birdie,
Alhamdulillah.
and now back to myself there. Well, I'm gonna hold this whole thing by myself in the back. Nah, I'm joking, man. But Birdie, inshallah, he couldn't make it today. I have to leave, so we are unfortunately going to be without him. But I have a very, very special guest for you, lot. I don't know if the camera can see at the moment, but we're going to kick it off with I don't know, man. Hussein, what do you think? How's the best way to describe this guest? Huh?
He's the love doctor. That's what we're going to call him.
Okay.
He's the love doctor.
I like love doctor. Me, I'm not going to lie. I was going to kick it off with maybe like the Will Smith of Somalia. No, was it the Hitch?
Hitch. Somali Hitch.
Somali Hitch. He'll give you that advice that you need to be able to find love.
Alhamdulillah.
Fair?
Yeah.
Anyways.
You like doing it. You good or like?
You know what? Yeah. Maybe you should introduce yourself.
Nah.
Easy.
I am a relationship coach.
MashaAllah.
And currently working on a few projects.
Mm-hmm.
But mainly the author of Can I Ask You a Question?
MashaAllah.
Which is essentially the book where, you know, if you're serious to get married, but talking stages are hard, innit?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who you're getting.
Basically the startup kit.
Yeah, startup kit essentially to tell people, hey, look. Do you know the best thing is? Chat to divorced people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know,
the grubs.
Wallahi, I'll tell you the truth. When I was researching for the book, I spoke to divorcees, I spoke to married people, I spoke to scholars, I spoke to counselors, I spoke to psychotherapists, everyone. Did my proper research.
What about the singles?
I did it all, but they were as confused as everyone else. You know, so it's like, you know, how can you help each other when you don't know what's right or wrong?
Yep.
So, but the divorcees, wallahi, told me the most, you know, sincere advice.
What, females or men?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Because you gotta understand, it's not just the female. Like
no.
Men get divorced as well.
Exactly. And wallahi, the divorcees really helped me out. They're like, look, because essentially I was with another person. We were talking about like, how do you know what's right? And he said, and we were talking about death and life. Essentially, he was saying like, when people die, they do the autopsy, innit? So they see how the person died, what went wrong, stuff like that. So essentially, when someone divorces, you essentially look at, okay, what went wrong? What can we learn from the situation? Because if you've divorced once, then you have to look at yourself and think, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I learn from this in order to prevent the next situation happening? Same thing. So they were like, okay, cool. What's the one question that if you were to go back, or someone who's getting married, that you would ask, and why? And they'll give me so many questions. They'll look at this, ask this, check for that, check for this. So I was like, okay, cool. So I basically made 150 plus questions. Then I went to my mentor, who's a relationship coach. He's the one who's actually teaching me everything and giving me my license.
He gives you the license?
Yeah. So
is he regulated?
Yeah, he's regulated. So and then you still have to do so there's another one called Gottman Institute. There's another one where you get, because that's the psychology, graduate psychology. And then there's different coaching and counseling. And I was asking him, hey, look, these are my questions, right? Can you validate them for me? Can we go through each question and actually see what is different, stuff like that? We went through them. He's like, "Oh, these are amazing," and so I used them to get married, essentially. So when my wife and me started speaking, I said, "Well, I'm not looking to waste my time. I'm not looking to waste your time. I have questions." And alhamdulillah, she was like me, so she's like, "I have questions as well." I said, "What?" I said, "Say no more. Let's go through them." We went through them seriously, answered, and then later on we were like, okay, cool, khalas. Like by week 2 of me and her speaking, I'm done. I said, good sanya. And then alhamdulillah, the way it worked is so funny.
Within 2 weeks.
I already knew. And let me tell you.
Do you know what is, by the way? Yeah.
Good.
Today I'm here just to take notes.
Yeah. No.
I'm here.
I'll tell you the truth.
Listen, and we're learning today.
No, I tell you the truth. I interviewed so many husbands.
Okay.
So many husbands. I actually married people. Alhamdulillah, successful marriages. When I give the term successful marriages, it's not that they were married for a long time. It's that the quality of their marriages was great. As in, if you ask a person, do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel happy? Do you feel safe in your marriage? They say yeah. Because a lot of people think that longevity is the thing. I've been married for 10 years, therefore I'm successful. but you've been miserable for like 8 of those years. You've hated life for like 9 of those years. You know, you've been wanting to get out at any moment, but just because you stuck at it, because you know, you know, we have to stick at it. It's bullshit. All of that is, for me, is like is slow death. It's the most slowest death you can give yourself is to be miserable with another person, and to hate each other, and to think tawa isa sa'ata manta, and how to think second one to isa sa'ata. So for me, I will never ever be like them uncles or be like them people that tell stick with each other for the sake of like staying with each other.
So you're saying if that marriage doesn't work, that you would advise for them to leave, whether it's good or bad?
I think first of all, divorce is a very big thing.
Yeah.
And I think nobody should be using the word divorce in the household. I think that's the last thing. That's when like it's you've tried every single other possibility.
But if you just said if you're not happy.
But happiness is not an indicator. You could be happy in one season and be unhappy the next season.
Yeah.
So, and in relationship world, there's something called a cycle, basically. So a relationship will go through rupture, and then reconnection, and then again. So it's like it will ebb and flow. It will go up and it will go down. But there's some people who believe because I'm in a relationship with quote unquote the love of my life or whatever, I should not have any problems. That doesn't exist. You have problems with yourself by yourself. So why would you think you won't have problems with another person? There's already people struggling to love themselves, and we're talking about mental health well-being, and we're talking about self-love, and we're talking about self-care and self-well-being for yourself only. So then now you add another person to the picture, it's gonna be more difficult, no?
But don't you think like a lot of these stuff is like maybe whispers from the devil, like a lot of these things that I think a lot of people are divorcing for could just take a conversation?
Yes, you are. Well, Hamsa, you're right. But I for my school of thought is love is an action. It's something that you do intentionally. It's something that you do knowing that you're doing it, but consistently as well. So there's a definition in my book that I took from another book by Bell Hooks, which, funny enough, she takes from another book called The Road Less Traveled, which is essentially saying like love is as love does. Love is namely a willful intention and a choice. So a lot of us have this assumption when we're growing up through movies and books and just, you know, Western media, that we love instinctually, essentially.
Yeah.
Which means that when you meet somebody, love just comes out. And that could be the most damaging thing, essentially, that could ever exist. Because you think that your actions are then essentially controlled by your mood. I love you today because I feel good. But tomorrow, I'm not going to love you because I don't feel good. And, you know, I feel a bit stressed and whatever. So I'm going to ignore you, and I'm going to, you know, not even chat to you because I don't feel good. But if you think of love as something that you do, something that you perform, then you can easily tell somebody, hey, this is how I like to be loved. For example, one of the questions that me and my wife we spoke about is, how do you like to be treated when you're upset? Which is funny enough, the couples that I talk to, when I ask them, how do you like to be treated when you're upset? How do you communicate when you're upset? A lot of them do silent treatment because they grew up on that. And essentially, the way you behave as a partner is almost like the way you were raised up as a child. So a lot of children learned that silent treatment was what they received. So they model that. So we look at our parents and we go, you did that, I'm going to do the same. Or we look at our parents and go, you did that to me, and this is how I felt, essentially. And we do it from a very, very, very young age. So because to explain it in a more simple time, we have a code when we're young, essentially. And that code gets embedded into us. And that code is the way we think about life, the way we think about relationships, because your brain is not going to take new information every day and go through new information every day to create new habits every day. Your habits are kind of like streamlined already until you wake up one day, so you know that doesn't serve me, essentially. Have you ever had like somebody, I don't know if you've ever been in like any relationship where you're talking to a girl and she starts screaming at you. Because essentially as a child, she realized if she screams, she's going to get what she wants.
Not really, because I lock off the phone.
But that's for you. But other men have already told her like, oh,
it's fine.
It's going to be fine, innit?
Yeah.
And then that day where if I got married, there was a girl I was chatting to, and one day she just started like bugging out on me. And I was like, well, I'm very calm and relaxed. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's just communicate. Let's just talk about why you're moving nuts. And she was like, I don't think you like me. I said, huh? She goes, yeah, I don't think you're into me, and I don't think you like me. And I was so baffled. I said, why don't you think you like me? That I like you. She goes, you don't argue back. You don't essentially give me that attention that I want, that conflict. And I said to her, oh, so you assume that my anger is my love. Like me being angry at you and shouting back at you is essentially me saying to you, I like you and I love you.
That is actually.
And she
sick.
said,
I never thought females actually would speak about that. Like that.
Yeah, but it's about like when people come to me, I break it down for them and we talk about their past. So a psychotherapist and a relationship coach are two completely different fields.
No, but how would you implement that into real life? You see how now, the girl started screaming at you. As a trigger mechanism, as a man, for me, I'm talking about. Yeah, the first thing is lock off the phone, bro. Who are you talking to like that?
See, that's a very, you're running. Essentially, you're avoiding.
How are you running?
Because there's people when conflict occurs. There's pursuers, so there's somebody who's gonna go ahead. They're gonna argue back, and there's people who avoid.
No, but there's respect.
There's respect, but
once respect is lost, conversation should stop.
Yeah. But for example, like me when I was talking to anyone, it was my non-negotiable. So in I locked it off. I said, Sahib, Walal, I don't think I could do this with you. Like I prefer.
I know, but then how did you get that information from her to understand that she said to you, "Oh, you don't." No, because
we spoke about it.
Okay, so you
spoke.
We spoke.
So we addressed it. I said, Khalifadi, so why is it that you think that this form of anger or this form of communication, what is it is going to get you? What is it that you want out of it? Because essentially everyone wants something out of it. Nobody moves crazy for no reason.
Not necessarily, but that's how they're taught, like you said.
Yeah, but still, it has an aim. It has a purpose.
Yeah.
Every action that someone does has an aim. Whether they know it subconsciously or consciously, it has an aim. So when somebody is shouting, usually they're telling you, see me, I'm angry about something, but their mode of communication is very toxic. Does that make sense? There's people who they'll hit their wives and they'll tell their wives, I love you. Because in their mind, physical abuse was something that they grew up with. They saw physical abuse, so they think it's normal. To them, it's like it's a normal thing. But to another person who grew up in a very healthy environment, will look at that person and be like, you're actually not normal. You're actually not normal. There's plenty of girls who would meet like a guy who's maybe had a healthy way of doing things, and they get shocked, and they actually run away from it.
Because they're like, this is what's actually happening to me. No, because you know what it is, right? I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's like just ticking boxes in my head. It's ticking boxes in my head of experiences, of understanding. Okay, cool. There's like for you, you've deep dived in this topic. You've understood its psychology, as you're gonna say. So you understand the norms, the behavior patterns of someone that's actually in love, and then someone that's not in love. So my understanding of it is the conversations that you're having with females is. My thing is when a female starts screaming or going mad or asking me dumb questions or asking me this and that, my assumption is, bro, she's tapped. she's got trauma or experiences that she hasn't left behind. Because look, at the end of the day now, we were just talking about Dagan Ellis. Yeah? If we go back to the Dagan Ellis trauma man's experienced and now I inflect it back into the world, I'm not gonna get nowhere. Yeah? We all got hit when we was young. So, what you think I'm gonna hit my child? I feel like there's better ways of communicating. Do you know what? Sit him down, have a chat with him. If he doesn't listen, then cool. You're not getting your PlayStation. You're not getting money. You're gonna live a very rafad life. So I agree with you to the point of like whatever people live with when they're young is what they grow up to become.
It's called attachment style, essentially.
Exactly, but I look at it from my side is whatever I lived in when I was young, I'm trying to do the opposite. But
that's still working on it. Does that make sense? You're consciously
working on it.
So attachment styles are not rigid.
Okay.
They're not like and communication are not rigid. They're not like I'm gonna stick like this and I'm gonna stay like forever. For some people, they consciously realize that's not benefiting me. I'll give you an example. I had a friend who was very avoidant. Okay. And I used to be avoidant as well.
What do you mean avoidant to people or females? Because it's different.
No, avoidant is in conflict. Let's say conflict. Okay. Let's say nobody. You know, there was a podcast. Sorry, a TikTok where the guy said nobody leaves when he's good. Like nobody actually leaves when he's good, right? When everyone is enjoying themselves and the shelter's going well and you know and you're being good friends and stuff like that, nobody's gonna up and leave. Usually they're calm. It's when conflict arises that people go.
Not really.
I don't really like it.
Not really. I disagree with that.
Go on, explain.
To be right, I would disagree with that. It's how many girls do I know that are in a perfect, healthy relationship, but they just want to skin out?
Yeah, but there's you
So
think
what
it's
now?
but you think it's a perfect healthy relationship.
But for them, they will, after they skin out and they lose that man,
They
they know that, oh shit, I lost a good man.
Yeah, because 80-20. So to them, they had 80% of what they wanted, but then maybe there's 20%. You know, there's
But
those
in this
whispers.
dunya, we live in a world that no one's gonna get anything perfect. So you can never
but
think that.
it's a thing of some people. There are going to be people who exist like that. It's just normal, and for them, it's like you have to understand where they're coming from. You have to understand why they did it. And usually, more times than not, is in their head they thought that 80%, that 20% of what they had. So essentially, it's like you know what the 80-20 is, right?
Not really.
So 80-20 is basically is like
80% you get what you want, and 20% is you're dying for it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
essentially, like 20% of something causes 80% of the benefit. So maybe like 20% of the revenue actually comes from 80% of this, essentially.
Okay.
So, but
Great
look,
example, by the
but
way.
look at it in like relationship world, where you have a man who's got 80% of all you want, essentially. It's nice, he's kind, but then you meet a guy who's got 20%. Let's say for a girl, it's the same example you gave. But your husband or your man, he's a stay at home. You know, like he does his own thing, but he's not really a party goer. He's not really a wild guy, right? Then you meet a guy and he's like, he ticks all the boxes for the 20%, but he doesn't have the communication. He doesn't have the healthy well-being. He doesn't have the financial status. He doesn't have any of the other things, but they don't see that. They see the 20%. They see he is very, very good looking. He is, outgoing. He is very, flirtatious and friendly. And, that 20% is now glamorized to be more.
Yeah, but
And then, so they get to that 20%. Essentially, maybe they leave the other guy and they go, left.
But then why would you lose 20% for something?
They don't
that
know
you're
it.
80%.
No,
But they don't know
they're
it.
not
In their
realising
mind, this other guy got the 80 and 20.
How? It's like going for a Lamborghini and then going for a Toyota.
But imagine a Lamborghini. Do you know that? What's that? Was that a Chevrolet? What's that car that looks like a
Chevrolet.
Yeah, it looks like a Bugatti. Not Bugatti. A Rolls
Chrysler. The
Yeah,
Chrysler
Chrysler.
300.
Yeah. So essentially, you're looking at a model that looks like the other thing, but it's not the other thing. And they
Do
think
you know
to
what it
themselves,
is? Because they're so starved of that 20%, they're hyper aware of
yeah,
it.
So then let me explain this to you then. So then the issue isn't the process. The issue is them.
yeah, but it's still them. Yeah, we never disagreed on that.
I know, but then everyone's not the same here. So then how does it work for the whole of them?
Because some people, you think that person's happy, you think that person is content with that relationship.
Okay, how about this? What is happy?
It's for me is for you. Happiness can be for anyone for different things, essentially. But for me is being content with what you have. Is being close to Allah, essentially, with everything that you have. Is being aware of
But
the
then does the
surroundings.
contentment come from the religion, or does the contentment come from love?
No, it comes from the religion.
It's come from the religion, right?
Because you marry. Let's say marriage, for example. You marry for the sake of Allah,
Exactly.
right? So one of the questions that I always had was, what is your understanding of marriage? And so whenever I'll speak to somebody and they'll tell me, hey, I'll ask them, hey, what's your understanding of marriage? The moment they tell me something that is not to do with Allah, in my mind, I almost locked it off. Because I'm like, wallah, you do not understand what you're getting yourself into. Because the reason why we're here on earth is to worship Allah to the best of our ability. Marriage is a vehicle, another form of worship, another form of ibadah, essentially. So if I marry a girl because she's funny, then I married her for myself because she's funny. But if I marry a girl because for the sake of Allah, then my intention is for the sake of Allah.
And when you say, sorry, I'm trying to make other people understand as well, because if I didn't know, what is the sake of Allah for marrying a female?
So essentially, your intention.
My
Yeah,
intention to marry for the sake of I find her funny.
So you can find her funny.
I'm not saying that,
No,
but I'm just
by the
making
way,
an
people
understanding.
think, oh, if you do it for the sake of Allah, you can't enjoy life.
Yeah.
No. You can enjoy life.
But
But
when
in
you say-
parameters of what is halal.
but they make it like it's a sacrifice.
No,
When you
no.
say I do it for the sake
It's
of
because
Allah,
you have
it's not a sacrifice.
these people who make the deen
them.
inaccessible
Mhm.
to people, who make the deen feel like they have to
And I agree with
sacrifice
you on this.
everything and they have to die for it. No, Allah, Allah says be moderate. Allah said be kind, be generous. But you'll come to somebody and they'll tell you, yo, you can't even laugh. I got told one time, I haven't completed the Quran. I'm not have the Quran. I can't laugh.
Excuse me.
Yeah, wallah, he said to me, you can't enjoy. Why are you laughing? You haven't cleared Quran.
Tell me, don't go to the toilet.
And I said, what? And I looked at them. And so there are going to be people who are extreme. But essentially, when you do something for the sake of Allah, you put him at your full brain and you say, oh Allah, is this person good for me? Right? I'll give you an example. A simple example. Let's say you have 2 girls. Right? Simple thing. You have 2 girls. One girl, she prays her 5 times.
Yep.
She is modest.
Yep.
In her dress sense, she's modest in the way she carries herself, and she's modest in the way that she thinks.
Yep.
And she's pretty. Because I know that some of these people, they think, if a girl's modest and Islamic, she's not pretty.
Yep.
And let's say another girl, she's not the same. You know, she's funny, she's got good character, she's got good personality, but she doesn't pray salah.
Yep.
She never mentions Allah. She never does anything. But you like them equally. You find both of them equally likable to you. Which one are you choosing if you think about Allah? Because essentially, when you think about, oh Allah, who would get me closer to you? Who would help me get to Jannah?
It depends, Wallah. It depends on what the sort of person you are. For me, I might go for that one that doesn't pray 5 times a day.
Why? But I said to you, they're both the same character.
They're both the same character.
They're both
exactly.
It's likability.
Exactly.
So which
the
one?
The reason why I say that is because I can benefit the one that doesn't pray 5 times a day, because I can change her mindset, and then that can benefit me because the edge that I can get from that would be more than the edge that me and my wife that do pray 5 times a day already. We can't grow more than what it is.
I would correct you in saying that is the most dangerous thinking that you could ever have.
Why?
Because you cannot change anyone.
No one's saying that.
But you said it.
Change in terms of like
help,
encourage her.
Yeah,
I'm
but
your husband.
But
your
your
morals now.
Praying
like
5 times a day is already the bare minimum. It's already the thing that you need to do. Does that make sense? So one person's already got their base, and the other person doesn't. So would you not go with the person?
No, but you said for the deen though, because I'm looking at like how am I gonna benefit the deen, and not to
you
say
benefit the deen by marrying the one who's already praying, who's already modest.
But then we're doing what we're meant to do. That you just said it.
Yeah.
But then someone that isn't doing what we're meant to do.
Because you're choosing people not only for yourself, but you're also choosing for your children. So there's a quote, Allah Mubarak, the father to a queen, told me, essentially where I think there was a very good man. He was very good to his kids. He was very good. And he said to them, "I've done by you now, and I've done by you before." And I asked him, they were thinking, "What do you mean you've done by us before? And we weren't even born." He said, "I chose the right mother for you. Your kids in Islamically have right upon you to choose them the correct parent, to choose them that parent that will nurture them, that will care for them, and that will love them. You can't decide to do nefsi and choose the one that you might laugh with today, because essentially you're choosing things over chemistry." So in one of my books, the core concept that I try to attack as much as possible is chemistry, because with psychology and with relationships, chemistry doesn't end up lasting a long time. Values does. If you and another person have the same value, then you're going in the same direction. But you could have chemistry with a lot of people. Chemistry could be created with a lot of people. You could even produce chemistry with a lot of people. If somebody is quite funny and quite outgoing and quite, bubbly, he can essentially have chemistry with 1,000 people. Now, how do you differentiate between all those people? Value. Not everyone has the same value. Not everyone's going in the same direction. Now, the girl who's already praying her salah, who's already modest, who's already wearing her hijab, she's already doing so much for the sake of Allah. She's already, it's already difficult as it is to hold into your deen. And the Prophet ﷺ said there will be a time where holding to your deen is like holding to a hot coal. So in an already haga chukta, diyar rakuta already. So there's no point of doing sacrificial changes and going out to the girl who's not already practicing, saying to her, "Khalid, let me change you." That Allah is the one who can change people, not us. We can influence somebody by trying to maybe guide them to the deen, but it's not the same. Marrying somebody hoping for them to change is the most evil thing.
But
you can do
ain't
to
da'wah
yourself
part
and
of
to
the
other person.
change?
No,
You giving da'wah to your wife, benefiting her, like, Allah, I'm gonna pray. You might as well come pray with me. Like these small little steps. It's not necessarily like I'm forcing you to change, but
you're gonna resent. At some point, you're gonna resent her. At some point, you're gonna be like, "Why are you not changing?"
But I know that if she does change, the edge that I'm gonna get from that.
But the edge you're gonna get from the other one is also the same.
That's why I don't know that.
Yeah,
that's why
the attitude of you praying with your wife already, the attitude of you choosing a person who's already there, not a person who's not there. I always tell people, choose people who are on the same level of you or above you. but choosing people to change them, especially girls. Like I've had countless sessions with girls telling me, "Nikim wa badali kara." I can.
Why
change
would you want to change someone?
And
You
I
can't change
and I tell people, you cannot change anyone. You
Absolutely.
cannot influence anyone. If you could, the Prophet ﷺ would have changed his uncle.
Mhm.
He would have made him Muslim, would he not?
Yep.
So why you then, if the Prophet ﷺ,
Couldn't
who the whole ummah, we essentially look up to him and we love him more than ourselves and more than our children, inshallah, couldn't influence his uncle, how are we to then decide, maybe I can influence this girl? Because she's on her own journey. It's going to be her journey between her and Allah. But to go to her and to make her, because some people, what they do is, one could go to I married you now,
Mhm.
you have to wear the hijab.
See, that one I don't agree with.
But that's what they do.
I know, but that's not.
I
our
married
deen.
you, so therefore I'm
That's
your
not our deen.
husband.
That's
You
between
have to
her
do
and
this.
Allah.
Oh, I met you at a shisha cafe, but you
Mhm.
can't go to a shisha cafe anymore. But you met me there. You met me at that place, but
But
you're
can
you're essentially trying to change who I
Can
am.
I ask you a question on that? Can anyone enforce their partner to do, like, can I tell you, you have to do that because you're my partner?
I think you have to be very careful when it comes to like enforcing.
No, but I'm just saying, forget about
Mm.
the deen,
Mm.
forget about it. I'm saying, in just general, can
If
a
it's- if
human
it's-
being, is it
If
is
it's an agreement,
in agreement in what?
if it's agreement before you get married, well, when we get married, we're doing X, Y, Z. Are you in agreement?
In what sense?
You
do
can't
mean? So
enforce
if you get
somebody.
married,
Yeah.
well, if I get married, you have to stop smoking cigarettes. You have to put the hijab on. You're not allowed to makeup on when we're married. Like them things.
Why?
there-
But why not find somebody who's already doing that? Why go through the trouble and you know the mess of trying to change somebody when there's people already like that? Essentially, why go through a girl who essentially is not doing those things that you want, but force her to become? You're changing her reality. You're not really with her. You're with the idea of her. You don't really like the person. You like the idea of her that you created in your head. So now she has to follow a script of you're not allowed to smoke, you're not allowed to go out, you're not allowed to wear makeup, you're not allowed to do this.
But don't you think that's the same as like? Don't you think that's the same that you shouldn't be allowed to do that both ways?
Explain.
And the man shouldn't do it and the female shouldn't do it. Like
Nobody.
I'm Hamza
Yeah.
and you're Halima.
Yeah.
You be you, I be me. If we see we are compatible,
Mm.
then we get married.
Yeah.
If we're not compatible,
They don't get married. So essentially, like one of the
but
reasons
now
why,
when we are compatible
Yeah.
and we've agreed to it, we're going to get married.
yeah,
There's no like there shouldn't be no regulations to like. There shouldn't be no regulations. You should wear the hijab. You should stop this. You should. There's understanding before the marriage. Like, yo, I'm looking for a husband that doesn't do X, Y, Z, or I'm looking for a wife that doesn't do X, Y, Z. Do you fit into this category, or do you not fit into this category? And if they say yeah, then they say yeah. If they say no, then they say no. You go about your business.
but that's essentially why I wrote this book, because how do you then identify who is compatible with you? But how do you identify it very quickly, efficiently, in a halal way, essentially? And how do you know what to ask and when to ask and etc.? So there's questions about finance, there's questions about communication style, there's questions about family, there's questions about upbringing, past relationships,
Yep.
all of that. So you would go through these questions with your potential partner. So let's say you meet a girl tomorrow,
Mhm.
right? And you say,
Daily.
so let's say you meet a girl tomorrow, or let's say you meet a girl next week, and you say, well, look, I have things I want to know about you. Can we,
Can I ask you one question?
Go on.
Because this is a great point. That you was you on the live the other day
Go on.
when we were doing it?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So I believe we don't need to meet up for me to answer these questions
You do,
with reasoning.
because
If
first
now,
of all, now on text,
you
we
said
can
2
chat
weeks.
GPT
You
it.
said 2 weeks. Sah wala la.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
met.
Okay, but I'm saying you said 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Before you met though,
Mm.
do you believe the majority of the questions that you asked
Mhm.
could have been said without you meeting her? The questions when you met her,
No,
why?
because first of all, is the Prophet ﷺ himself
Awesome.
said, "Have you gone and seen the person? If you haven't, go see the person." He himself recommended that you go see the person you're going to marry, essentially. Also, communication. There's so many layers to communication, right? And there's so many things you can learn about somebody just by being in the same room as them that you would not have learned by being on the phone with them or even texting.
But what I'm saying is to you, the things that you just said to me now,
Mm.
finance, understanding each other, I don't know, all emotions, or like these questions that you say, oh, what makes you scared? Or what makes you laugh? Ooh, okay, cool. If it was like you give them, like me, my thing is very scenario questions. I put them in scenarios. I want to see how you come out of the maze. Because that just shows me your IQ, the way you're thinking, the way. Because at the end of the day, the way I look at things is, even if you do get married, and you said think about your children, right? Okay, cool. So if you think about your children now, and I get married, one day I might be dead. I might be disabled. Something might happen to me. Now you might have to step up. So, but if you're not even capable of that, and you just believe in, I just want to be wife. I stay at home. I do the cooking. I look after the kids. That's it. That now doesn't give me like a bit of confidence. Like my kids are gonna be looked after.
But how can you find out if you're just speaking to the person online then?
1 second.
Through text, because a girl can text me.
What I'm saying is though,
and ChatGPT it quickly.
No
the
problem.
best answer.
But what I'm saying to you is you can't really ChatGPT me on the phone.
Oh, wallahi, I've seen people do it on interviews.
No one's denying it, but on the phone, the way I'm talking to
a girl could be like, wallahi, that's a very good question, you know, like, oh, Hamza, let me think about it quickly, and then boom.
Yeah, but then you tell me you think about it quickly, and then boom. I can tell from the way the fakir of it, you can tell. But what I'm saying is, before we get into too much in it, because I know it's just a small segment, the way I look at it is, I am gonna give you foundational questions before the meet. If you pass the stage, there was stage 1, stage 2, stage 3.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So stage 1 could just be like, oh, how are you? You're right. Oh, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And that conversation there brings up other topics to talk about. So, yeah? So that's okay, cool. All right, we can talk on the phone for more than an hour without it not really coming back. Okay, cool. Now that you got the second stage, all right, cool. You know, we had a little bashal fun where we've had a joke around and got to know each other. Now it's time to get serious. We're in class.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So you can have that, no? And then after you understand, all right, Rush, she's passed her class now. Exam can get it. You get me? What you mean? I don't know why you're laughing. So look, now she's going to the exam. The exam is now, okay, cool. This is what I'm looking for in a wife. What are you looking for in marriage? I'm serious. I haven't seen her at all. I can get this done in one day.
No, yeah, I don't disagree with you on that part.
But then now
you can, for example,
but imagine
have
I did that in 2 weeks and I met her. I wasted time, effort, money.
No, but let me explain. So essentially, when I was speaking to my wife, it was online.
Okay.
So
when you say online, what, text?
Yeah. Okay, text and phone calls essentially.
Okay.
So she's not from. My wife's Canadian. So she's not from here. So let me tell you, the number one thing that everyone should do whenever they speak to somebody is not to be overly reliant on their ability. Immediately pray istikhara.
Yeah.
Immediately pray istikhara, because istikhara will show you things that you will never have known. I've seen people who are on the gates of nikah. You know, they're just about to get married, and they've prayed the istikhara maybe a week before, and it all collapsed. And I prayed istikhara for like so long. I said, oh Allah, please, like, I don't want nothing. I don't want, if this is easy for me, make it easy for me. But if this is not good for me in this dunya and the next life, make it difficult. But let me tell you how Allah facilitated everything. So my wife is doing Umrah at that time, and I'm in London. We're talking. She's in Kenya now, so she's doing Umrah. Then she went Kenya. Then as she was going, she's Canadian, by the way. So but
you know, I was gonna say this to you. It's good you said that she's Canadian. Yeah. Because this place is khashin. I'm telling you, yeah.
The opinion of Hamza is only Hamza.
Bro, I'm going there tomorrow. I'm out of here, bro. You see across the pond.
Let me explain.
America and Canada, the conversations is not the same from here. So you're right. Sometimes you have to look outside.
No, but but I didn't do it consciously. Matter of fact, I was against the whole idea of a long distance.
Okay.
But let me explain how it happened. So I think I answered. So the way it happened is we were talking. And then I was like, you know what? I got the feeling that in Antamoraba, and I actually said it to her. I said, "Walal, unfortunately, you're not from here. But if you're from London, I would have pursued you for marriage." And she said, "Why do I have to be from London for you to pursue me for marriage?" Essentially, like if my alif is in London, then my alif's in London. If Allah wills for it to happen in London, He wills for it to happen in London. And I thought about it, and I said, "Okay, cool. If that's the case, then I'm willing to, inshallah, let's talk, let's go. So as we're talking, and I'm asking her the questions, remember she's in Umrah, she's in Kenya right now, right? She just finished Umrah, Kenya. She immediately said, I'm not with the bullshit. I'm not with you trying to chat to me for the sake of chatting to me. State your intention. I said my intention, I want to get married. And my intention is to get married. If I'm speaking to somebody, is for the sake of marriage. Class. Then she said, okay, cool. 3 days into us conversating, I spoke to her mum already on the phone.
3 days.
3 days into it, I already spoke to her mum. Me, I'm not about them.
But when you say you're speaking to the mum, what are you chatting to the mum about?
So the mum said, oh, in hatu ilahi, you know, may Allah make it easy for you. And if it's shirky, may Allah may Allah remove it from you. I said, cool, right? So but she like, is now
the mum now. She's telling you, my
mother-in-law.
Where are you from?
No, my mother-in-law is just like chilling with me.
Just like, yo, hi,
how you doing?
Okay.
You know, who are you?
So was you not threatened by this?
No, because as a parent, we all have parents. I don't understand people. I always make a joke. I said, you lot are going out with each other, and the girl you're chatting to sees any Toyota Prius and she's hiding because she knows what she's doing is not right. Like,
no, but then do you know where it is now? Yeah, maybe alhamdulillah. Before this, you went for this. Yeah. How many girls did you speak to?
If I spoke to a girl and I was serious, I met her parents.
So how many parents did you speak to?
No, but
I want to know.
But if I was, look, you're not serious. You're not serious with you know, girls say to me like, oh,
nah, he got you. Abdul has on a parents' evening thing.
No,
yeah,
let me land. First of all, girls used to say every time I used to tell girls, where's your parents? Like, where's your, like, why are you not talking to any random Tom, Dick, and Harry? And you know, you're going out with them for weeks and weeks. Because I get messages from girls, I get people at cancel. They're telling me for years they've been speaking to a guy he's never met their dad. He's never met their parents. Nobody knows about him. Right. I always tell them, how is it possible that you spoke to this man for this long and nobody was a wali, nobody knew about you? You were essentially in danger. Like, this man
but it wasn't the right time.
But look, and girls will say to me, oh, I can't bring every Tom, Dick, and Harry to my father. And I always say to them, why are you talking to every Tom, Dick, and Harry? Do you think I was talking to every Tom, Dick, and Harry myself as a girl, as a guy?
How many females did you chat to before your wife?
As soon as I told girls, I'm ready, I need the other one here, I'm trying to get married.
I'm just saying, how many did you speak to before your wife?
Seriously?
He's trying to go home today,
3.
bro. He's trying to go home today.
Seriously,
about 3 serious ones.
2 before her. 2
before serious ones. And them 2 you spoke.
3, there was one I spoke to when I was younger. I thought you could actually have a relationship in it. I think that lasted like, I think I was 18, 17. That lasted like 6 months. In my mind, I clocked it. I said, this is the most dumb shit I've ever done in my entire life. Never doing that again. When I'm diyar, when I'm ready, that's when I'll speak to somebody. If I approach somebody and I'm approaching them for marriage, and that's it. And so when I approach somebody, I tell them, well, I'm serious. There's no left and there's no right. As a matter of fact, there's girls who I was serious with, and I said, I'm trying to meet your parents. And they said, nah, I'm trying to get to know you for a little bit longer and, you know, see what you're about. And I lock it off. I said, well, I'm so sorry, you're not my person. Because my person, if I tell them, hey, I'm trying to do the halal way, they would agree with me. But that's my value.
But then what you're saying is that speaking to a female on the phone without letting their parents know is not halal.
No, you don't have to go extreme. Be moderate.
Exactly. No, but then you just said it now.
For example, as soon as you know within you that you are trying to get married.
But you should know that when the first term you said salam alaikum to the girl.
Nah, you don't have to. No.
How?
This is not the haram police. We're not saying as soon as you see a girl, you have to then check her dad.
No.
We're saying as soon as you made the intention to get married. But so if you're chatting to somebody,
you mean made the intention for the person to get married to them?
To get married to them.
Okay.
So if you're approaching them, look, if you're approaching them, let's say. So let me finish the story with my wife, and I'll answer that. So essentially, I pray istikhara, remember. I said, oh Allah, inantan hadi liqray, and my name's next to hers. Please make it easy. You know, don't make it difficult for me. But if it's not, please make it as difficult as possible. Remove it. Make it. Give me as many obstacles as possible. I'll be attuned to the obstacles. I think I don't believe in red cards. I don't believe in red flags. I think I am out as soon as Amber comes. As soon as anything that I disagree
but we're not
with.
Perfect.
No. There's imperfect and there's you being silly with me.
Okay, fair deal.
There's some mistake someone can make, and there's someone taking the piss and thinking that certain things can run. And a lot of people allow certain things to run because they've got rose-tinted glasses and they go, like I like her already. They already like the vibe with the person, so they allow everything to slide. And now you're married to that person and you're angry about the same things that you knew about her before you got married.
The
So
man
for
did
me,
image.
for me, it's like you knew, you saw it.
Yeah, they knew.
in your mind, but you pretended to ignore. And girls do the same thing. Girls have come to me telling me their husband have ghosted them.
They've been hollering at me.
Well, the actual, not a boyfriend, not a haram relationship. I'm talking about actual husband has ghosted them, hasn't come back to the house, or maybe they live in a
That's
long
true.
distance.
I know a lot of stories like this.
And I asked them the same thing. I said, well, did he have this sort of like attitude before you got married to him? They're like, yeah. One of them even said he ghosted her 2 weeks before the wedding.
Hey,
He needed a bit of time for himself before he was going for the big decision.
And I looked,
He needed to make sure, like, yo, my brother, is this right? What I'm about to do?
No, and I looked at her and I said, was that like a normal occurrence in the talking stage? Was that normal? She goes, yeah. Like this guy would just go ghost. He'll go gone for like 2-3 days. He'll gone for a week. Sometimes gone for the longest. She said 3 months, 2 months.
3
It's
months.
Skatagi.
Like, no high, no
not
bye,
picking
no
up
nothing.
the calls, no nothing.
now that guy had a new relationship.
And then the same thing happened during the actual relationship, during the actual marriage, where he would go ghost for many months.
But would he? Well, when he comes back, this is just like, no, I went to time machine. Like, what did he say?
No,
like,
he'll just
Grabbing
apologize.
cigarettes.
He'll just apologize. He'll just say sorry, and they'll accept. He'll just say, a lot of these
don't you
girls
think that's
say
their
sorry.
fault because they're accepting sorry.
Yeah, I don't, but I also don't victim blame. I also
I'm
understand.
not victim. I'm just saying, like, you can't sit there and tell me, well, yeah, that my wife for 3 months, she said she go to the shop. She's not come back from the shop.
But that's
yeah?
but you have boundaries. A lot of people did not grow up with boundaries.
How can you not have boundaries?
Because okay, let me explain. So there are some people who their actual parents violated them so much as a child, as growing up, that they think this person's violation is nowhere near nowhere near my parents. So I'm actually lucky that he does these things. Is the monster that you know compared to the monster you don't know. So they're thinking, this person, I'm happy with him. Like, this is what I deserve. Because, you know, my father who's supposed to look after me, is supposed to be, you know, my mother who's supposed to give me unconditional love. And then we all talk about it, where we say, your parents are supposed to give you unconditional love. Now, this unconditional love was the most horrible love you could find. Now you find a partner who, you know, just does a little bit less than your parent. You think you're okay with it. Because you know the worst is out there.
Yeah.
So you accept it for yourself. But somebody who, for example, came from a very, very, very healthy background, very healthy parent, very healthy standards, high boundaries, you couldn't do that with them. Because essentially the first step that you do, the person will say, are you okay? Like is this a sort of behavior you're going to have with me? So that's the reality. Some people have very, very high tolerance. Some people have very, very low tolerance. Essentially saying like, well, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't accept.
But
myself.
is this within our culture, Somali, or just within the whole Muslim culture, or within the world, the society that we live?
Yeah, it is within the world. But with Somalis, we've accepted the bare minimum for so long that.
But I don't think that's all of us like that though.
No,
think,
not all of us.
I think it's just the. One girl said this to me, and I actually took this like offensive at the beginning. But now it's all making sense. Yeah. She said to us, we've just got people out there that need therapy.
Wallahi, I'm telling you, on a day-to-day occurrence, I'm meeting people, and in my mind, I'm thinking,
yeah.
And I actually recommend them to the therapist that I know, and that I'm connected with, and I tell them, well, please, you don't need marriage. Like, there's some people who tell me, well, I'm ready to get married, and you know, can you find me a partner, or can you do this with me? Or, for example, they're in a situation where they are going to get married, but situations happen. So before they get into that marriage, they seek advice with me. They do one-to-one with me.
Anyways, Abdul, can we continue with the story? I'm trying to hear the end of this. We've gone on a crazy tangent.
So, okay, cool. So I remember my wife, so she was going back to Canada. She was flying back to Canada, and her plane, Allah put a criminal on her plane to make sure that her flight will be delayed from Kenya to the UK in order for me to meet her.
Excuse me?
Wallahi.
How'd you end up on the flight?
No.
Sorry.
So she was supposed to do a layover. So she was supposed to go into one plane, just get onto the next one. But the plane that was from London going to Canada left them because there was a criminal on her plane from Kenya to the UK, essentially.
There was a criminal on her plane, so
On
the
her
plane
plane.
got delayed
Her plane got delayed.
on the tarmac to get the criminal out.
Exactly.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
And then
No, they landed.
Hey?
And the police were here.
Yeah, ready.
And the police said, this plane, nobody's getting off.
Yep, I know it happened to me.
Yeah,
I experienced it. I know exactly the situation.
Nobody is getting off.
It's basically
Everybody's
wanted
staying here.
or warranty or whatever they want.
So
they said everyone stayed until the police come on and they take you.
you know, what's it called? Seat 300. Sabah.
But they done
We
him
know you're
right.
here.
They done him alright. Like, I mean, they had a picture. They pointed. Wallah, me. I was so baffed. Wallah.
No, wallah. So essentially, that's what happened. And so I remember, I said to her, "Hey," she said, "You guess what?" She said, "Guess what?" I said, "I have to stay here, innit?" She said, "Yeah." They got her a hotel for like 24 hours. I said, "That's enough time." Is your dad with you? Yes.
Guy,
Is your
Are
mum
you on
with
an
you? Yes.
express thing? Wallahi, you're on
Is your
an
mum with you?
express
Yes. Hey, yeah. I'm gonna come collect you guys, and I'm gonna take you guys to my family house, and we're gonna have dinner, and I'm gonna get to know you, and I'm gonna get to know your dad, and I'm gonna get to know your family, and you guys are gonna get to know me. And wallahi, my friend, he was there as well, and I did it. Wallahi, after that day, we had, I think, we had dinner. I had dinner with her dad. We were joking.
So, but
got to know, and then
But how did
after
that
that,
work?
I said to myself, "Khalas, wait, Mate. This is my person."
How did that work on the plane? Like, how did you manage everything?
Istikhara. Remember what I said?
I know, but I'm saying,
Mm.
remember, yeah, she was meant to land
Yeah.
and jump on the plane.
Yeah.
So let's just say it was 4:00. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, oh hey, we landed, but I don't know what's going on. We're just waiting for the plane.
No, because
You're
before
texting.
she left, she was texting me, "I'm getting on a plane."
Yeah, exactly. So,
inshallah,
but now when she got to London, your muskahada is just like she's gonna get on that plane.
Yeah.
Go to
But
Canada.
part of me said, "What if she stays here?" Wallahi, I mean, and part of me
Ah,
said,
he's
"What
out
if-"
here doing hopeless
Wallahi,
romantic.
wallahi,
Right.
part
This
of
is
me-
true. I believe in it.
And my
Wallahi,
mother-in-law,
Abti.
she makes a joke.
Yes.
Wallahi, she goes, "Sagana hawari."
Yep.
Saga nuguyiri, he has to stay there. Wallahi, that one meeting, I'll be honest, I always say to my wife as well, I said, if that meeting didn't happen, I don't know if we would have got married.
Yeah.
So essentially that meeting where we sat down, we all, and her dad, wallahi, a beautiful man, her mum, a beautiful person, we
Mashallah,
got all
man.
along. Then, so she went back to Canada. Then she said, "Okay, we'll start speaking. Everything's done now." So now I was like, "Okay, cool, we're going to plan."
So you already
handover.
done like it's doing this.
No,
Everything
we did,
all at
essentially
once.
done.
At the
Essentially, we did barasho. So barasho is like
but the barash is like this doing this at the same time. That's what this doing
No,
is.
but the stone is when you like lock it in.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
essentially,
so that's
even
not
her
it
mum,
is.
even her mum and dad, they said to me, "It's basta.
It's
Like,
fine,
get
it's
to know
good,
each
but
other."
deep, you know.
Yeah, like get to know each other. Don't. A lot of people think if you meet the family or you meet the
You're under
parents,
pressure.
you have to. That's it. Lock it off.
Mm.
Right? But I feel like if you meet the parents, that's when you know the family dynamic already. That's when you really go in and understand, you know, who really runs the house. You know, how her siblings. Can you get along with her siblings? Can you get along with her mother? Can you get along with her father? And then so they came back again. This
They
time-
came back.
yeah,
to
they
England?
came back again. But
And
it
this
was
is
for a
in
wedding.
how long? All this time frame.
This is legit 3 months, 4 months. They came back again,
Mashallah.
and there was another person's wedding, and they invited me and my family. So for a whole weekend, me and my family spent with each other. Then they came to London, so it was in Manchester. So I actually went to Manchester with my mum and my family.
Mm.
Went to Manchester,
Mashallah, man.
saw them, met her.
I don't know how do you tell your mum this stuff and your dad?
Oh, mum, alhamdulillah, we're
Well, like,
good.
like mama say, yeah, come on after they say what?
Yeah,
She's
no,
gonna bug out on me.
No, but I think parents should facilitate that because we don't live back home.
Yeah.
Back home, people knew Hebil wa Garansa.
Mm.
Hebil wa Garansa. Everyone used to know each other. So there was no weirdo. There was no person that you didn't know.
No, but it's like they're old now. Our parents are a little bit more like, you get me, they busy, shako, this, that. Like,
But we
like
become
a lot of these.
individualized.
I'm not saying, I'm just generalizing a lot of
Mm.
the parents that we have. Like a lot of parents are single moms,
Mm.
single dads. For them to do this all, and now they have to communicate with the dad, and them two have to come together. Then we have to go to that family over there. It might not be even good for your own family dynamic.
Mhm.
Some people, I'm saying, they have
Yeah.
that where you, like you said, there's.
But then they
trauma.
can't complain then when their child gets divorced because they didn't check the blueprint.
You have to invest some
You
time.
have
But
to
then
invest.
what
You
should the
can't
child
say
do?
good sada. You can't
Mm.
tell us good sada. You can't force us down our throats essentially everything. But how good sin way how good sin way
If
If
you're
you
not
don't
doing,
facilitate it for us. You don't make it easier
Yeah.
for us. You can't be
but
both
no one
ways.
speaks up about that.
But you can't be both ways. So for example, like you can't tell us don't bring anyone to me, because essentially your parent is meant to be your first like God. Essentially, they see something that you don't. They might look at you, but like, oh Hamza, like that you were gone. Whilst you were gone, I sat with her, and you know I realized that she doesn't conduct herself in a proper way. My mom sat with my wife. My mom after said, like she conducts herself in a very beautiful way. Like she's very good. You've done well. So is that? But thing is, for me, I wasn't seeking my mom's validation. Like whether my mom liked her or not, I was still gonna get married to her because the person marrying her is not my mom, it's me.
That's what I always say, you know.
So
Wallahi,
people
that's what I
out here,
always say.
and the thing is, people are like, and the worst thing, the sad reality is, when I was doing my research of asking what is it that the reason why a lot of people get divorced, 91% of the people got divorced because of parental involvement.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people who essentially are old in age, but very young and childish in mentality and decision making. There's not a lot of people who've actually decided things for themselves. Some guys, will tell them, Haga ka, they'll kayan, tanfur, ufreya, tangurso, gursenia. There's one guy in Somalia legit asking people, begging people, Isa da'ay, so my mom can allow me to get married. His life decision, he's asking his mom, can I do that? And you're thinking to yourself, you're 30 years old. What are you doing? Like, why are you asking for permission from other people? Like, it's your decision whether you want to get married or not. It's your decision whether you want to get divorced or not. Why are you asking here? Why are you out here allowing other people to tell you where you can go, where you can't go? Be respectful to your parents, yeah, but it's not blind obedience. If your parent tell you to it's like the same way that our parents blindly obedient was worship their parents. So essentially, you're asking yourself, who really is in charge? Who really is in control? And the psychological term is called enmeshed, basically. So it's like, who is making the decision? Like, I had a client like 2 weeks ago, right? We and Mother sat down. And he said to me, Sahib, like, I made a mistake. I was like, okay, cool, talk to me. He said, I divorced my wife because my mum told me to divorce her. And I realized after 7 months of divorce that I actually didn't want to do it. But I just got, like, manipulated to doing it. A story was made and it was incorrect. And he found out the story and he was like, okay, cool, how do I make it correct? And I worked with his cousin. So he came back to me and he said to me, okay, look, how can I correct it? Now, a simple thing, okay, well, tell me everything that happened in the 2 years you guys were married. And so many things happened. He said, bro, like, I didn't realize what was the impact. I said, cool. Like, have you spoken to your ex-wife? He went back to her, he said, well, yeah, I feel it. Like, forgive me. I made a mistake. I didn't see it from your perspective. She said to me, if you're the last man on earth, I will never marry you. If you are the last man on earth, I will never marry you.
She won.
I will never marry you. My auntie, she sends me stories of, like, there's another YouTuber called Husnul something, right? And he essentially tells, like, people send him stories, but in detail, and he narrates it. And my auntie was saying, like, you lot are not grown men. You lot are not men that make decisions. So when you get married, there's going to be a time where you have to make a decision, isn't it? You have to stick to your guns. You have to know this is your mom's rights, this is your wife's rights, this and that. But we have a lot of boys who are victims in themselves already, in their own families. They don't make decisions for themselves until their mom says, cat. Some of them don't even pay for their own wedding. And some of them get the whole hagbed balaqara, the whole wedding's paid by his mom. So now his mom's saying to him, no, you didn't even get married. I got married to your wife. I facilitated
Crazy.
So what are you trying to, like? If I told you to divorce her, you're going to divorce her. And they're having it.
Be mad if
and they're having it, and they're saying, hey, like, I'll do it. There's one story that I know where a guy, he got divorced. His mom told him to get divorced. He did it. And then his mom said, and then he still liked his ex-wife in it. So he was still ubilini. He's still, paying the bills and stuff like that. Then his mom found out and said, why are you paying the bills? Stop paying the bills. Stopped. Then his mom said, oh, you still have
Aren't
his
these
girl.
people scared of
Let's
Dembi
move.
though, man?
No, they don't care, because to themselves they say this. They say mahabar and say du'a badunsa. Which essentially they think to themselves.
They think they have the power.
They have the power, and it's comes from a very narcissistic tendency, essentially. And also, because let's be very honest, when we were growing up, not a lot of us actually said no to our parents.
Yeah, I did.
You did, but not a lot of us did. Not a lot of us actually said directly no.
But I think that's a Somali culture.
But that's not correct, because you didn't grow up with your own safety. You didn't grow up making your own decision. You didn't grow up essentially making a boundary between you and your parent. And enmeshment means there's no boundary. Your Hoy told you to go left, you go left.
Well, the boundary here was social service. Chelsea, check out me again. What will we go to school tomorrow? That's the only hope you have.
Wallahi. But yeah, essentially to finish off the actual story, after we went to Manchester, she came to London.
Mashallah.
The whole family spent a week with each other. I never sat with my wife alone.
Okay.
I was never anywhere alone with her whatsoever in that whole talking stage. Every time I was with her, a third party was there. Someone
in the room or in within the facilitation?
In the room, in the facilitation. It was always in a house. It was in a house. It was always somewhere where everyone was seeing us. I was in her family's yard with her uncles, her Abtis, her aunties,
I was
everyone.
thinking, who's
Even
this
her
guy?
Yaya was there. And you know what they're saying? They're saying this is so-and-so's husband. They're already, in their mind, we're already married.
Yeah.
This is so-and-so's husband. So I'm already her mahrams are all
family.
there. I'm already part of the family. So I already knew
This
everything
is proper
about him.
Adan family culture.
No,
you
I
know.
can't
They-
like it. I feel
You
it's
know that
beautiful,
she,
man.
you know, but
And
you're
she
so
came over to
mad that
mine.
I'm hearing this, but it's such an English culture that we do. But then in the theoretical side of it, when you look at it from the way that we're brought up,
But it's only us. Like
I
I
do
have
not
Arab
see it.
friends,
Yeah.
I have Asian friends, and they do it the exact same way, where they all know everyone, where they're
Yeah, I
going
know,
to
that's
have
what I'm
dinner
saying.
with each other.
But for us,
way
yeah,
before they got
it's
married.
cringe.
And then why are we complaining when we're all getting divorced? I legit deal with people. There was a girl who I worked with last week. She was been married for only 5 months, and she's like, I'm ready to get divorced. I'm ready out. Like I'm out already. And I had to sit with her
No, but that's the new thing.
and
these days,
understand.
man.
And
I think
understand.
these days,
well,
divorce
okay,
is the one.
why is it that you want to get divorced? Let's actually talk about that real issue. I think by the end of the session, she was like, you know what, you're actually right. I don't want to get divorced.
You see
So
them
there
ones
are
there?
people who are like that. So you're not embedded into these families. You don't understand the sort of dynamics that's really happening. You're just marrying for the person for the sake of like what? You like her. Or she makes you laugh a little bit. And the girl's like, oh, he makes me laugh a little bit. And another thing is a lot of people get very annoyed. You do not know anyone until you marry them. You do not know anyone until you do business with them, you travel with them, or you actually marry and you live with them. And so there was a girl, we're having a conversation. She was like, nah, but I used to see him. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's calculate it. Let's really put into numbers how many times you were seeing your partner and speaking to him. She said, hey, 1 hour a day we were talking on the phone. Cool. How's that? 7 days, 7 hours. When were we seeing him? I was seeing him like what? Once a week. For how many hours? Like 10 hours. So what? 17 hours. Cool. So you times the what by 4. Well, I think that's 47 hours. Cool. You have 47 hours with this person. That's it. I work with people for 45 hours in the week. We're with each other all the time. I can't tell you I know them. Yet I'm sitting next to them at work every day. I can't say to you that I know them. So when you put into actual math, how long you actually spend with somebody, you can't fully say, what, 47 hours out of what? Out of 200 hours, out of 300 hours, out of 400 hours. You've only spent 40 hours with them the whole month. Can you really say you know a person? Also, in that 47 hours, I can pretend to be whoever I want. In that 1 hour on the phone, I can tell you whatever I want. I can pretend. I can't pretend with my wife because so she's seeing me wake up in the morning. She sees how I wake up. She sees how I go to bed. She sees what I do. She sees when I'm angry. She sees when I'm annoyed. However, with a girl, I can pretend to do whatever I want. I can legit pretend to be the most calm person. I can talk, I'll punch up a wall. She pissed me off today. And I always tell people, you don't know anyone. Why are you pretending? Like, you're making believe with these Adan people. These Adan people, they go on holiday with each other. They're sleeping with each other. Their girlfriend's coming over. Their boyfriend's coming over. They do turkey on Christmas. You're not doing that with this person. You're seeing them only when he wants to see you or when she wants to see you.
So,
and you're also one thing, you're doing something for the sake of Allah by going against Allah. You're seeking Allah's barakah by disrespecting him. For me, it's like for me, it's like how you, and then you get into marriage, and that marriage breaks down. You know, your risk is not there. Your happiness is not there because what? You find happiness in disrespecting Allah. You find happiness in disobeying Allah. How is that possible? And when I tell people, why are you in a haram relationship? Why are you doing this thing to yourself? And they get annoyed at me. They're like, no, man, you're too extreme with it. I need to get to know them. I need to do this. And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll see who's divorced in 6 months. And they do get divorced in 6 months because there was no barakah in it.
I only realized that recently, you know.
Like, there's no barakah in it. And essentially, the marriage is one of the hardest, the heaviest contract that you ever get with Allah. And I was speaking earlier, I was speaking about men who say 4 wives. I was telling him there was an imam who said if a man knew.
Bro, I don't like the fact that you pointed here when you said that. you're trying to kill me here.
No, we're just talking about like people who just constantly say 4 wives, right? And there was an imam who said if a man truly knew the rights of a wife and the consequences of a marriage, then he would be afraid to even marry 1, forget 4.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of guys who I see, you're broke, you're emotionally scarce. You don't really exist. You don't even take care of yourself. You're hygiene all over the place. You're chatting to me about afar. Like you're tapped. There's men who have millions and are struggling to keep up with 1. You don't even have kids yet, and you're already talking about something that doesn't even exist. I'm always telling people, why is that the sunnah that you focus on? There's so many other sunnahs that you could do. Why is that the first thing that you focus on? Ragbana hai. Okay, cool. Ragbata hai, but you don't do anything for your community. You don't do anything for your parents. You don't do anything for anyone else. But you're chatting to me about 4 wives. Just say Kasiba and you know, just say you're horny and leave it.
I don't think the people there they say it more to just either act like a bad man. See, like man, them that on the streets, they say, yeah, I got a gun or I got this and that. They don't really have it. It's just bullshit. They're just trying to make. It's just showista that some people it allows them to their insecurities. They're scared to show their insecurities because really and truly, like you said, they're broke.
Yeah.
So how they even gonna get 4 wives?
And also, I want to have balance as well. There are a lot of women who feel like, you know, because they are a woman. And I was actually speaking to my wife about this. We've made it synonymous with jail and love and health, with happy wife, happy life. So essentially what they're saying is, in order for you to have a happy relationship with me, you have to cater to me and do everything for me, which I am completely and utterly in disagreement with.
Thank you very much.
Because I'm speaking to wives and they're telling me how they spoke to their husband, and in my mind I'm like, oh no, you're lucky, like he hasn't clocked that. and they're like raising their voice at their husband, and they're like disrespecting him. They're like talking to him as if like he's any man. And I have to actually clock them and say, well, you know, there's not any random man that you met in the street. You know, that's your actual husband, right? Yep. And they're like, yeah, but he pissed me off. And I say, well, it doesn't, like, me and my wife, we had an agreement. Like, one of the reasons why I tell people, like I wrote in the book, is have set agreement, non-negotiables. One of the non-negotiables we had was, we want to shout at each other. Yep. We want to call each other. Yep. And we want to give each other silent treatment.
Absolutely.
And people love those 3 things. Oh, so you did this so and so because that's
I hate that.
And then another one is stonewalling, where you can tell the person's pissed, you can tell there's something off, but and you ask them, is there something wrong?
They say nah.
No, I'm fine.
Nah. And their attitude just stinks. Yeah. And you're looking at
them.
You
say, brother, just tell me what's wrong.
And they're like, you should know.
Okay.
And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, I'm actually having to coach these things out of people. Yep. I'm having to tell somebody, like, I remember we had a conversation with the wife and we actually created her a journal. We created her a journal to say, Maka hanaqli, you do these steps, you sit down, you think about this, and you think about that. You get paid for this stuff? Yeah, obviously I don't. Wallahi, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
I do this for free.
Nah, hell no.
Free, bro. Wallahi.
Hell no.
I do this for free, my brother.
For example, the matchmaking that I'm starting right now, we test you.
Yeah.
So we create a relationship model for the person, where essentially we're trying to see if you're even ready for marriage. And so we did some test subjects. So we did some test subjects with some people where we like, you know what, let's actually see if you're ready. Some of the guys we had to say to them, well, you're not ready to get married. But like you're generally, you're not sane, you're not mentally okay to get married. And some of the girls, we have to tell them, you're not gonna last in any sort of like healthy marriage. Like, I'm so sorry to tell you.
I've got a few questions for you now.
Go on.
Just to
but
back.
1 second before you've got your questions. Yeah.
Go on.
Did you finish the story? So you've met her for 3 months.
Yeah, we met her for 3 months.
And you got married after that.
And then so afterwards we were just like preparing the wedding. That's cool. The only thing we were doing.
Mashallah, I love that.
And as soon as the wedding was done, she came.
I have one question for you.
Go on.
Only one, yeah?
Go on.
Did you go on a date?
With her? What do you mean?
Did you go on a date with her?
What, private, me and her?
Yeah.
No, hell no.
Okay, cool. So then the comment that I said.
Yeah, but I met her. There was no date. I still met her.
I never said no to meeting because there was no financial attribute to that meeting.
No, there was.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? I had to go get food.
Yeah, stuff like that. But
I had to set everything up. I had to get her a gift and get things ready.
You had to get her a gift?
Your bila gift, sir.
No, that's crazy.
What? Bro, what are you doing? How you getting a gift?
Bro, he was intentional. That's why he's married.
Bro. So wait. So intentional means
well, you start the way you wanna. You start things the way you wanna end. So you start the way I already set the standard. So for me, the first day I already got her a gift.
Why?
And by the second time,
there.
So Shukasi, what's that got to do with?
Bro, he's got 24 hours to make this happen.
A gift could be something small, but it's an act of intention.
But then you're now making it like you just said. No, imagine you don't have the money to give a gift, so you shouldn't get married.
But that's fine. If you don't have money, don't force yourself.
But then don't force yourself to do that. But then I look at it like I don't want to set a standard now.
Yeah.
That anytime I meet you, you're getting a gift.
But that's my standard. You
so
don't have
anytime you meet your wife, you get a gift.
Wallahi, every Fridays I try to get her flowers. Every time I leave the
that's not a
house, I
gift.
try to.
That's a good
That's
guy.
a
get
norm.
her.
That's a norm. You can't do that. Flowers is normal.
Okay, but
I
that's
can go past Tesco's, grab a flower.
But
Nah.
you're thinking gifts are like wow, Wayne, that
No.
hello, Kenya, you're
No,
getting her a
exactly.
yacht
If I'm
because
gonna
I
do a
heard
gift.
I saw your
Yeah.
podcast where you said I'm gonna take her to Ibiza, I'm gonna
Yes.
take her to
No,
this
no,
place.
no,
and
that's
then-
Lake
I'm gonna
Como,
get-
Lake Como,
Milan.
Lake Como, yeah.
And I said, I was looking at
different.
that. I said, La ilaha illallah, hazarullah.
No.
I'm
No,
like,
because I'm saying if I'm gonna do it,
yeah,
I want to do it properly.
but Habibi,
But I don't want
a
to do
lot
like
of people,
something
it's a
small.
gesture.
And it's just what?
No.
Hannah, I could buy this for myself. I don't
then
want
why
it.
would you be with that person?
There you go.
But if you
But
get,
then what about if
look,
I
look,
don't buy her a gift at all and she's happy with me?
no, but if you get her a little thing, a tiny thing.
What about if she's happy with me not
Habibi,
getting her nothing?
I bought my wife a teddy bear, yeah, a elephant teddy bear,
Hey?
Like,
and she has that elephant teddy bear every day as if like it's the best gift ever. There
Why?
are people, because it's about the gesture. It's about somebody
Yes,
thinking about you and doing something for you.
Okay, so
essentially.
let me ask you
So
this
if you got
question.
your wife, let's say she said like I had a conversation with somebody today in the consultation because I was trying to match her with somebody else. We were trying to see if it actually works and if I can find differences and stuff like that. And she said that when she'll talk to somebody, she loves burgers. So when she was
Oh my days. Oh my god.
Her BMI is high.
No. There's people who I love burgers.
We can tell.
Okay, I love.
You know, I didn't stop myself. I didn't see that coming. Sorry, bro.
I like burgers. Okay, I like
God,
burgers.
I didn't.
But she likes burgers.
Hey,
Basically.
we get that.
And she was in a conversation.
Mhm.
She brought up the fact that she likes burgers,
Mm.
right? So the guy that she was chatting to randomly told her, "Hey, yo, there's a burger spot that is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and I got you one." He gave her the burger. My wife, she loves to journal, right?
Oh,
So when she was coming, I said, you know what? I'm gonna get her a journal. So I got her
A journal book.
a journal book, right?
What things that are in need that is small, but it's not wahwain matter.
Ah.
But that's not a gift to me. That is to me is
But
a
that's
gesture
your
of goodwill.
definition. But that's your definition of what a gift is.
Mm.
Other gift is essentially any product that you give to somebody out of goodness.
Mm.
That's a gift.
But it could be a
If,
gesture.
if for example, you came to me today and you said to me, I bought you socks.
Mhm.
I'll see that as a gift. I said, Hamza, I want to buy
Nah,
that.
girls do this to me all day long. They think, they give you little, you know, them boots, the little spray and the
Yeah.
cream. They think that's a gift. Bro, I've got 10 of them. I just dashed them in the yard.
Yeah, but it's
Like,
still
what's the
is a gesture of goodwill at the end of
But-
the day. Even if you don't consider it a gift,
But it's
because you have
become now a
you have a
norm. No,
certain
but
standard.
I give you an
doesn't
example.
de-
Your
deny it.
standard of a
Yeah.
gift now
Yeah.
is not the standard of what females think is okay for a gift. A lot of these females, the gifts that they give to guys is, bro, it's boots. They care the shampoo and the spray,
Mhm.
and so that now is like every female's like, no, that's what you should get for a guy. Or sogis, I'm a boxer.
A gift is somebody like if
It's
I
meant to
learn
have
something.
meaning.
If I
Yeah.
learn something about you,
Exactly.
I go, oh, you know, Hamza, he's on time, for example.
Exactly.
Let's say he's always on time. I can get you like a project planner. I
Yep.
can get you this and get you that. Let's say, or for example, you're traveling a lot.
Yep.
I can get you the next thing. Be like, oh well, here you go. Here's the next thing.
Exactly.
And get you headphones that you know you could use. This gift is essentially when you thought about the person intentionally.
Yes.
I can get anyone socks. I can get anyone, you know, the boots and whatever. But for example, if somebody said, "Oh, I like that I like that boots," and you got it for them, that's intentional. Does that make sense? So, I intentionally decided I know what my wife likes,
Okay.
and I got her that gift, and she appreciated that gift. I already knew that she had essentially a form of like a teddy bear in her house. So I was like, you know what? That's what I'm gonna get her.
So you got an elephant.
So I got her an elephant, and she enjoyed it. She said, "I like it." So
No,
gift
like-
doesn't have to be a large thing. You're thinking of like
No, because
jewelry. You're thinking about
I'm
you
just
know
talking about
a watch and stuff like that.
society of what they deem as things.
No,
as
but you
normal.
have to. Prophet ﷺ says, Allah loves things done small but consistent.
Yep.
So what can you consistently gift your partner?
Yep.
You can't gift them a watch every time.
Do you get gifts back
Yeah, I get gifts back. For
So-
example,
consistently
I got,
or like?
yeah, consistently. But I got like a watch where there's a saying that we have, and she engraved the saying into that
Mashallah.
gift.
I love them gifts.
So there's things where she'll also give me. My wife is very supportive, very loving, very kind.
But you never
But
took
that
her
had
out on
to-
a
that
date
had
though.
to be intentional. I had to search for that person.
But
Like for example, non-negotiable for me was the person had to be affectionate because I kept meeting people who were like her.
they're
We
all
call
of
it
them.
me and my friend. We call them her. Or like because they essentially you say to them they're like wow. One girl I was speaking to her for like I think like 3 months. Wallahi, this is like the best. I was in my best shape. You know, I was getting haircuts here and there, but not one compliment, not one nice thing. I asked myself, I said, what do I have? You can't live like this. You can't.
But was you giving her compliments?
Yeah, I was giving her compliments for being kind. And then I said to her, well, like, I'm so sorry. Like, me and you will never, we can't, this is not going to work out. Like, Jazakallah for the gesture, Jazakallah for the opportunity to get to know you, but we're not going to be, like, we're not going to continue. She said, why? I said, it's actually, well, there's no difference between you and my boy. As a matter of fact, I get more support from my boy than I get from you. And
Crazy.
I'm supposedly supposed to look for you in marriage and stuff like that. I said, you don't
How'd
have
you
any
last 3
naharis.
months?
Huh?
How'd you last 3 months?
Well, like, it was, you know, time goes. Like, you're working, you're not really speaking to each other
That's
that
what I'm
much.
saying. It's a waste of time. I
And
try to
said-
go for the quick.
But that's
one.
before I created these questions. So now, as soon as I end, like, Kali, Fadiso. Let me ask you about this. Let me ask you about that.
There you go.
Let me learn about your intentions. Let me learn about how you lived before. Let me know
So-
how you want to live.
The
and
reason
everything.
why I'm keeping going on this, the reason why I said it is because I'm coming back to now.
Mm.
The reason why I said that I won't take a girl out on a date. If they want to see me, they should take me out on a date. If not, we are
I
going.
will forever
How?
and ever disagree with you.
Shall I tell you why
Go
you
on.
you can't disagree with me?
Go
Because
on, go
the
on.
facts of what you're saying right now comes onto that, which is, Walal, if we're trying to get married to each other and we want to do it the halal way,
Are you going for her hand or is she going for yours?
no one's going. So why does going out on a date have to necessarily?
Because
be-
remember,
it's a hand.
you start how you end.
It's not.
It always is, Habibi.
Habibi, you know why?
Men used to go to
Go
the
to
girl's
war.
house. No, not go to war. Men always used to go to the girl's house. Hablahan, the reality of them coming to us is only because we became bums. Let's be very honest.
Not really.
Yeah, wallahi, let's be very
Because
let's
it's
let's
not.
be
It's
very
because
factual.
they become
Because
expensive.
you're no, wallahi they're not. No, I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know who you're talking to.
100k meheres and aros.
That's what how I share كذا. واسكيرة then.
Abti, that's what's out there now. That's
No,
left.
but you're just talking to the ones who are on the internet.
Bro, forget about the ones in the ones that are on the Tariq walking.
And they're telling you 100k, 100 bag.
Bro, even let's just say 100 back then. Let's just say even the 20s and the 15s.
Who
To me,
the
that's
hell?
still mad.
Who the hell is telling you 20 and 50s?
They don't even earn that for
off
the
the
year.
back, off the back, off the back. I've never, I'll be honest. I'll speak about my experience. I've never heard a girl say to me, "Walal, you have to give me 20k, 50k mahr." Never in my time.
Bro, I've heard it.
I've
minimum
always seen it
10
on
times.
Twitter. I've always seen it on Twitter. I've always seen it on TikTok. And I hate to see these people. They're just trying to trigger men. These people, they're just trying to trigger. There's men who are saying, "I'll get her a cat" and stuff like that. But yeah,
Do you know what it is? I actually want to move on to like actual serious conversation
Go
because
on.
that Meher stuff is played out.
yeah.
I want to go back to something you were talking about previously, where you're talking about happiness and then the 80-20.
Yeah.
How do you know when that person's hit that 80%? Like, what are the things that they should be looking out for? What boxes should they be ticking? And then what's also a negotiable? So they don't necessarily have to have it, but if they have everything else, then it's good.
So I do this exercise that I've done myself, and I tell everyone to do it. Essentially, where it's like you get like 3 quadrants.
Okay.
One's non-negotiable good things, one's non-negotiable bad things, and then one is a good thing. So non-negotiable good things is like things that the partner has to have, no matter what.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where they're from. It doesn't matter where you meet them. It doesn't matter if they're the prettiest person. They have to have that. Non-negotiable negatives are things that the person cannot have, no matter what. Even if they have the 3 of the good things, if they have these things, like there's no point, right?
Okay.
The good things are things that are like extra. For example, if somebody's outgoing,
Yeah.
it's not going to really affect the marriage, and maybe the children and stuff like that. But it's good.
Yeah.
And each person, I tell them to think 4 things to put in each quadrant. Essentially, I'll give an example. A non-negotiable positive for me was a person characteristics has to be reflected by their deen.
Yeah.
Like they had to have dressed modestly. They've had to acted with Allah in their mind. So wherever they went, how they spoke to me, how they spoke to their parents, how they spoke to themselves, how they acted, you can see the person is a Muslim. You can see the person is intentionally practicing Islam in their life. They're not just wearing a model. Because there are a lot of guys who can have the beard, who can wear the khamis, and who can chat the chat. But once they get married, we find out that they are actually wife beaters.
Yeah.
We find out that, they're the actually worst of the worst. There's a lot of girls who can wear the hijab and, and wear the niqab and whatever. And then you find out they're horrible to their parents, or they're horrible to their family, or they're narcissistic themselves.
Yeah.
So essentially, practice is not the clothing you wear, which is very important. We're not taking that out of consideration, but it's how you actually behave. Another thing is certain characteristics that you need in your partner. For example, I wanted someone who's affectionate. That was a non-negotiable for me. I wanted somebody who's generous with their words, who's kind with their words, who has good thoughts about me and their partner. You'll meet people who you haven't done anything, yet they think you've done something.
Yeah.
And it's because in their mind is a chaos and war, and you're a part of it. You're a part of it as well. So they will jump to conclusion to paint you in a bad picture.
Yeah.
You did this. You always do that. You act like this. And you're thinking, well, I didn't even do anything. I barely even know who you are. And so that's another thing. A negative I would give you, for example, is superficial deen. Somebody, people who quote Islam outside and they put it on Twitter and they put it, but on a day-to-day occurrence, they never act upon that.
Yeah.
They barely pray their salahs. When they speak to people in a very unkind way. For example, people who are harsh with the deen.
Yeah.
Like, them guys or girls who try to advise somebody, but their advice is forceful and it's actually derogatory. It's actually very nasty. Like, they're not really advising the person, they're telling the person off.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, if your advice is not done with kindness and with consideration, why would you do it?
Yeah.
But there are people who think, bro, like, you have to say it how it is.
Yeah.
You have to be blunt with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but was the Prophet ﷺ like that? No. Nobody else was like that. So why do you think that you have that capability to do it to someone else?
Somalian. Somali, that's right.
But it's not an excuse to say Somali man, hey, so therefore
But that's the way they think about it on that mannerism.
Yeah, that is true. Some people just think, like,
We
I remember
deserve it.
Yeah,
It's an ego. You know, like,
and some people actually love it. They're thinking, bro, I grew up in tough love, man. It made me a better man. I'm like, well, I'm so sorry.
But we're not all the same.
You haven't cried for 30 years. Like, your body is your halal is coming out. Your shoulders are your body is in trauma. Essentially, you can't even sleep at night time. When you go to bed, you have insomnia, and you're talking to me about tough love being the thing that you need. Tough love is setting boundaries. It's still being kind to the person, but saying, hey, let's set boundaries, essentially. And then the last thing is like good things, things that maybe Hamza has or someone else has that you like for yourself. For example, me was funny.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm funny as well.
Yeah, you're
trying
funny.
to say he's got the same as me. He's for sick of it.
But essentially, like things that you need, innit? Things that you like to have. So you essentially now your model. Basically, you thought of it. Now you make dua.
Yeah.
You ask Allah. Allah has created mountains. Yeah. Allah has created rivers. Allah has created the whole universe. Now you think Allah can't provide you with a little person that you can get married to? Impossible. And Allah says to you, I the way you think of me, I come to you.
Yeah.
So if you think of me as somebody that is can make the world for you, I am that for you. Yeah. If you think I'm not, I am that for you as well. So essentially, you have to be hopeful. Number one, that Allah will provide you exactly what you ask for and what you need. And if you don't, you say Alhamdulillah, Allah, you know best. You know something that I don't know.
Yeah.
But you have tied your camel, you have strived, you have done your part. But nowadays, people move around the world as if nothing good can exist. Pessimism is a new currency where they think
it's not all around the world.
No good girls are about. There's no good Somali men. And I tell them, if that's the case for you, that's the case for you.
That's all you'll see.
That's all you'll see.
Yeah.
If you walk around with poverty in your eyes, you only see poverty.
Yeah.
But if you walk around with surplus and you walk around with abundance, you will meet exactly what you see.
I walk around with that, but sometimes the million's not hitting my account. I need to do something different.
No, but Allah maybe wrote that million for you 2 years from now.
Impossible.
But Allah said, Allah said, let's see if He keeps with it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Allah said, I'll test you. I'll test you with your wealth. I'll test you with your children. I'll test you with your deen. I'll test you with your health. Do you think that you believe? And you say you believe without being tested. Now, can you really say Allah was patient when you weren't? If you say, oh Allah, I put my hand up and you didn't give it to me, were you patient? No, you weren't.
No.
You expected immediately things to happen for you. But did you tie your camel? For example, you started your own business. So you've tied your camel. You said, oh Allah, here's my camel, I've tied it. The rest was written by Allah. So whatever's come for you is already designed for you. But the way it was designed is by the way you tied it. And there's a story, and I love this story, where there was a man who was in the desert and he was walking, he saw a masjid. And he had a camel, and a guy called Abdul came out, and he told the guy, hey, can you hold my camel for me? I'm just gonna go pray quickly. So he went to pray, and he got like a equivalent to a £10, let's say £10. And he said, you know what, this guy did well for me, or he looked after my camel. I'm gonna give him a tenner, right? He came out, there was no camel, there was no guy. He's thinking, what the hell? So the other guy tells him, so he goes to the market, essentially. And once he gets to the market, he sees the guy who had his camel selling his camel for £10. The exact same amount that he was going to give to him, it was already written for him. But the way he chose it was it goodness or badness?
Yeah.
That's the way you tie your camel.
Yeah.
So sometimes I always tell people come to me, they're like, Sahib, like, I'm getting hopeless. I've been trying for like a few years now, or I've been, using the apps and such like. I'm using the apps and stuff like that. I'm getting like I'm not meeting anybody, right? So I said, all right, cool. But I said, have you prayed istikhara? Have you made dua? Have you woke up for tahajjud for it? Have you asked Allah? And usually they tell me, actually, I'll be honest with you, I haven't.
Yeah.
And then you don't want it bad enough.
Yeah.
You just kind of want it because you got to that stage where you're at that age where everyone else is getting married. I have friends who like have kids, 2 kids, 3 kids. I'm looking at them like, wow, we used to play footy together. We used to be in school together. And I'm home about now you're a father. Now another person is seeing that and they're going, bruv, like, when's it my turn? And they're itching as well. When's it my turn? I'm thinking you haven't done the work in order to put yourself in this position. And the people that I've done, I'm like, be patient with it. But essentially why I started the matchmaking service, because I realized there was guys that I know who are in a position to get married, who are prepared, but they're not online. They don't have any profiles online. Let's be very honest, a lot of us Somali guys don't actually have profiles.
Social presence.
Yeah, we don't have social presence.
I have a lot. I'm in every single app.
Yeah, that's you.
Every single app.
The average Somali guy that we know doesn't. Their face is not really there. Even if their face, half of their face is like on there.
Yeah.
Or the back of their head.
Yeah, because it's, you know what it is? It's like a little bit of like,
I don't want to burn my face.
I'm not a social media guy, so I know.
Yeah, but some guys just don't care for social media. I have friends who never had Instagram. Never had.
That's
TikTok.
nothing bad though.
It's nothing bad. They just don't live their life like that. They just live life on a different spectrum. It's not that they're better than people.
No,
on
but you
social
say
media.
that, but you'll be laughing because they have the Instagram, they just don't have a picture or anything on there.
But, yeah,
but
like
they know more about Instagram than the person.
Those are crazy.
Wallahi.
I have friends who legit don't spend time on social media. They don't have social
That's
media.
a whole different spectrum.
That's a whole different spectrum. Them guys, and then there's girls who say to me, there's no good guys around. And this friend is telling me, Sahib, I want to get married, but like, I work in, for the majority of them work in mechanical engineering and stuff like that. They work in construction, for example. And so, how the hell are they going to meet a Somali guy at construction? Which Somali guy is going to be at a construction site?
You'll meet a Polish man or
Exactly. I mean, Kurva and all of that.
Yeah.
So, and it happened to me as well. There was 2 years where I actually genuinely didn't see a Somali guy because I was working for a water company.
But it happened to me 30 years I didn't see a Somali girl. I still don't see Somali girl. I'm only seeing it because of this platform.
so there are people who are generally not connected.
Yeah.
Also, we don't have third spaces.
Yeah.
Our parents, they had haflats with Garanian.
Yep.
They came to the
Hello,
country.
dude.
Yeah.
You get me?
So they had everything. They knew hebel. So you want to get married somehow?
Yeah.
That person was on. And they didn't mess about. Bish bash bosh. 2 weeks later, they were done.
They were done.
And for them, the concept of like relationship, or even the worst one I've come to hear now, which actually makes me vomit, is situationship.
Hey.
It's so crazy to them. Like, how are you? What's a situationship? I'll go to your parent and be like, "Hey, let me explain to you what a situationship is."
Friends with
Your
benefits.
your mom will vomit. She'll
It's
be like, "How can I
relationship
understand?"
minus.
Yeah, exactly. It's beta test for relationships.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
A/B
so,
testing.
so what we're doing is
Well, that's a
essentially-
gala thing though.
Yeah.
We know that that's not something that we do.
a lot of them are doing it.
But then that's the same as saying a lot of them are doing drugs. A lot of them are doing alcohol. A lot of them are
But
this.
drugs,
Everyone.
drugs is more. I was actually speaking to a friend about this. Relationships are so normalized that doing it the right way is almost seen extreme.
Yeah.
No, not really. I think it's seen extreme to the people that are dokhon, that don't have any faith in their deen.
Wallahi,
To the average person, I
I've spoken to hundreds. Sometimes I'm just
At the top of
banging
your
my
head,
head,
you're right, yeah.
and I'm thinking to them, what do you mean? Like,
But that's because of
and they always
social
tell me-
media.
That's
though,
why
man.
the and even my TikTok lives, when I'm telling them, "Wallah, what are you talking about? What are you guys doing? How are you guys just willy nilly talking to somebody for 6-7 months? You don't know where he's going. Like, why are you with somebody where you don't know where he's going, where you don't know, where his parents is, you don't know anything about him? Or some of them, funny enough, like one girl, she actually made me cry. I was laughing so hard. She didn't even know the guy's name. She called him M. Dot for like years.
Why Korea?
Wallahi.
You're lying.
And I said, no, wallahi, some guys don't even tell the girl's name. A. Dot, Y. Dot, J. Dot, K. Dot. I'm thinking, you must be joking. Like, you must be like not serious. How do you not know the person you're trying to name?
She's not even that smart. His
No,
name was
but that's
Muhammad.
not that.
That's normal.
You can't blame her. I blame her because she didn't have the courage to do the right things, or she didn't have the right guidance.
Yeah, but also him. It takes two to tango.
Exactly.
If
But
you
he was already
a
already
situation-
rubbish.
Yeah.
When she came to him and she got him, he was already rubbish. She just saw the outside of the car. She never saw what's inside the car. inside the car.
I do agree with you. Every time I tell people, hey, well, yeah, as girls, you lot have control. At the beginning, all the power is on you. Like, I've told them the tricks that we have. Like, you know, where we'll say a certain phrase to a girl, just to see the level,
just to see the level where they're at.
Yeah, like you say something absurd,
absolutely,
and then you see, did they clock you? Did they tell you? Did they check you? Did they tell you, wow, what are you doing? Like, you can't chat to me, like, and then I stood on about, like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you talking sexual to me? And some of them will talk sexual back to you and thinking, yeah,
it's go time.
and these are tactics. My boys are telling me, they're like, yeah, bro, we've done that. Me, alhamdulillah, I was never part of that group. I just used to
me, I throw the ones in the bin because that. You know why I don't like that?
But I also learned very early on. I'm like, I'm with my boys and everyone. I'm always asking questions. I'm always wanting to know things about people. So when my boys are like, yeah, bro, like sometimes I do this, and sometimes I do that, and you're just looking at them like, how is the girl allowing that? Like, what do you mean you just like called her 11 a.m. at night time and told her sobah? What sobah is that? What the hell? How is that even possible? Like, if I saw my sister at 11 o'clock at night leaving the house willy-nilly to get to a car, I would tell her, like, what are you doing? Like, are you okay?
Well, some of us have seen the worst things in the world.
I can't lie to you. Do I have the numbers at Tim Hortons Park Royal are going to drop now?
But I always think, like, this can't be normal. Why are we normalizing this to the point now where people who are getting married, who are doing it in the halal way, are almost looked at as like, mashallah, like, you're doing so well, you're doing so good. Like, I actually became sick of my own TikTok lives because I was like, how are you all just speaking to people for the sake of speaking to people?
Yeah.
How are you just allowing anyone to talk to you? Like, for me, like, a red flag for me was like, if I spoke to somebody and I asked them, well, have you been in a past relationship before? And they say, yeah. And I said, how long? If I heard anything more than 7 months, especially when I asked them, what year? Like, how old were you? If they tell me anything above 20, and they tell me we've been in a relationship for 1 year, 2 years, I always, the second question, did he meet your parent? And they tell me no. Lock it off. You get the like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm
everything you're saying, I'm looking at it with myself. Yeah. Me, I was with Ajnabi. Yeah. Allah forgive us. 9 years. Yeah.
How long?
9 years.
Okay.
At the first point of the first 4 years or 3 years. Yeah. She was always asking me to come see her parents. Her parents have asked about me. Yeah. I said, I can't see your parents until I know you're gonna be the one that I would want to marry.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The day I met her parents, the parents said to me, "Oh, we'll wait for you a hamster for so long." Hamster. And she said, "Oh, the woman said, oh, I used to have a hamster a long time ago. We've put him down the toilet." You flushed him down the toilet. But what I said, what? I said, yeah, all right, cool. But what you got to understand is, with me now, I was a bit like naive. And I used to think the way that you said a little while ago when you said that you meet the parents, like, you get scared because you think, well, had that the parents, it's gold time. I'm messed up. And I can't say no. There's no way of going back because I'm in it now. Yeah, it's like having a business and meeting the investors now, and you've already started the talks. You can't just walk off the table straight away like that. It's a bit difficult for you, especially if you've been trying to get the clients on the table for so long. So I find it one. I'll be so honest with you. I wanna join the match thing, but I wanna see.
The way we would do it is, for example, let's say we interview you. So because I know you, I wouldn't interview you. Okay. Another person would interview you, and she will essentially check if you're, what you're compatible with, but also if you're even ready.
Imagine she likes me.
Inshallah.
If
she likes you. I mean. But the way we're trying to work out is basically we're trying to get people to do things in a very halal way. Got right? You. So we're trying to produce an app where it would have all the questions for my book. And essentially the way it works is, so let's say the question is, how do you communicate when you're upset? Okay. She would answer the question and you would connect to each other already. So it would say, Hamza, let's say they call Amina. Let's say the girl's Amina. Hamza and Amina, you guys are connected, right? So we'll give you a login and you get a login. You guys will add each other on the app. The app essentially is just questions. It just has questions. It has 150 questions from different headers. Some finance, some communication, some management, some everything, right? You get to choose how fast you go through the questions. But we will tell you, when you guys are conversating, please get through the questions. Like you guys can talk whatever you want, but make sure that your main priority is getting through the questions and actually knowing who you guys are as individuals, value based, right? So let's say you know Mahali Rahda, you and her get along. You go through all the questions. So the way it works is one is like, let's say that question, one is like, I disagree with her. 5 is like, I agree with her a lot, right? So every time you guys answer a question, you guys will give each other a rating. She can't see your rating and you can't see her. So then at the end of like 180 questions, it will give you a compatibility rating. It will say, Hamza and Amina, you guys have a compatibility rating of 90%, right? And it will show you where you guys are not compatible. It will say, you guys are not compatible here. And it might be miscellaneous stuff like, you like to wake up very early, she likes to wake up like a little bit later. That doesn't really change your life. That doesn't really make a difference. Another thing is that 10% could be something like, you want to have 10 kids. She doesn't want to have any kids. That's already, that 90% of compatibility is already out of the window because the person can't provide you with one thing that you really need in your life, which is kids, right? So at the end, what we're trying to do is, after you guys do that, in your meeting, we're trying to be the middle point. So the middleman, essentially, where we are trying to speak to certain restaurants and cafes and tell them, hey, can we use your place as a hub where the people that we connect, the people who we match, they can come here and we supervise them, essentially.
You don't pay for the date?
No, we're not paying for that. You don't pay for it. So
Bro, I thought
we
this would
create
be a win-win. I want to have bad dates.
So essentially, what we're trying to do is tell that cafe, like, we'll bring you business.
Okay.
We'll bring you customers, like consistent customers, on a like
a regular basis.
a regular basis.
I'll open up a cafe, Shahan, she can't see.
Yeah.
And then we'll sit you guys down. You guys get to know each other. We'll bring you guys cards. We bring you guys prompts, essentially, to get to know each other.
But then, how does this work with what you say of the muhrim and it's good to go to their house?
So remember, you don't have to be extreme. You can meet the person.
So that is extreme now.
No. You're saying immediately.
No,
we're gonna match.
I'm going along.
No, but you remember, I knew my wife already on social media. You don't know the girl on social media.
But
you've never spoken to her.
But we've just gone through 188 questions.
To get, where did you meet though? Where was the match?
Through your matchmaking.
Okay, but essentially the day that you guys met, we set that up for you. So I will tell you, Hamza, book that day in. So you'll book a day, same day with her. We'll tell you, okay, you guys, here's your calendar. Both of you guys book it in. You guys will book it in. So essentially, you guys can do a virtual one, or you could do it in person one. So some girls have said to me, well, we want to meet people, but we don't feel comfortable where to meet, and we don't just want to go out with any person. It's all right, cool. So one way we can fix that issue is we can actually have a hub, a place where everyone that wants to meet meets in that one place. It's very controlled. You guys come there individually. You guys leave individually.
Well, I can't even drop a home.
We always say, no. We always say,
imagine we're on the way home together.
I always say, keep it halal. Wallah. If you really want to drop her home, get her a cab. Be kind enough.
But what about if it's the cabs on the same way to my house?
Nah, you guys are adults. I'll tell you guys.
Uber pool.
No, I'll tell you guys. That's up to you.
Astaghfirullah. Yeah. I'm only having a bit of banter, but you're absolutely right. So, like now, for our viewers and for people, how would they look like? I want to do this. Where do I go to find this?
So we're still building the application.
MashaAllah.
And we're still doing the consultant. So the part of the consultant is that we're trying to make a model that allows us to get to know you enough that we can make a good judgment whether you are good enough for. Essentially, we're not taking everyone in, so we're trying to weed people out essentially because we did test subjects. So where some of the people who signed up, we said, okay, cool, we'll interview them, and I interviewed some of the guys and some of the girls, and I said, well, like we're not gonna work with you. Like one of the guys, we asked him, like, what is it that you look for in a wife, right? What do you want in a partner? He said to me, well, I just want someone who cooks and cleans. I said, bruv, don't come to us. Get yourself a maid. We're not. That's not who we're providing you. Like these people that are coming for are well-educated girls or well-educated people who want somebody. One of the girls that I was speaking to, I said to her, okay, how are you going to love your husband? How is your husband knows that you love him? Let
me guess the answer. No, I'm not doing anything for him.
Yeah, why? She said, what? Nah, man. Like I'm not doing nothing. It's all about me essentially. Like we realized she was nifsi. So any
Anna, that's what I call them.
So any person that we bought her, the guy will get angry at me because he'll be like, "Yo, I paid for your service. You bought me this donkey. Like, come on, like what are you doing? Like you're violating me, innit?" So we essentially make sure that the person already has healthy basis of understanding. What we also do is we're training people. So let's say somebody comes to us, but we think they're not ready enough to be married yet. They're not ready enough to do to get to that stage. We tell them, hey, Walal, you have a choice. We do have a coaching program, and we do have a therapist in the team.
This
So
guy's
if
a
you-
doctor. He's been in hospital. He's been in a love hospital. Make sure you say, we have
Well,
a doctor.
no,
He's
but-
got the GP. He's
No,
got
no,
the
no,
you know,
like,
you have to do the foundation.
yeah,
before you get
No,
to the main
but
course.
in
Mashallah.
I think it was Malaysia, Indonesia, you cannot get married
Yep, I
without
said
going
it.
through
I was saying this the
without
other
going
day.
through a
Abti.
premarital course. You
Yep.
cannot.
And an
because-
exam.
And an exam.
What are you
Because
talking
some of
about?
these people are tapped.
Yep. And I said this from the beginning.
So it was like 2 tap people was Gusanian, and then
what
we're
are they
looking
gonna
at the
bring?
results. Hadai, because Labaqa for Sahih and Sania, we put the most mentally
Yeah.
ill people together, and we're expecting it to work out.
Exactly.
No, it will never work out.
No, wait.
And so what we're doing is we're trying to make sure, to the best of our ability, to minimize divorce. And the way we can minimize it is to prevent it. By prevention, it means giving people enough skills to know what they're getting themselves into, and to essentially say, well, here is what actual marriage looks like. Here are the married people. Here are the premarital courses. Here are the relationship experts. Here are the therapists. Here are all the things that you need, essentially, to put yourself in your best foot forward. And if you do that, then even if you do have a relationship issue, you still have us, for example, to be the middleman. So you'll still have us, for example, a lot of married people who come to me, they'll come to me because they have an issue that, like, if I go to my family, they're going to think something of him. And if I go to my family as well, they're going to think a way about her. So who is non-judgmental, who's objective, that could be a middleman? And that's usually us, that's usually me. And they will tell me their issue, and I'll basically help them solve it. And I'll help them create like a structure where they can then move on later without me being there. Or I'll basically give them a course. I'll basically give them something that they can read and say, look, this is something that you guys can do. And inshallah, some people it's communication.
Exactly.
I'll give you an example. One girl, she kept arguing with her husband. You always do this. You always do that. You never clean. You never do this. And I told her, well, okay, stop saying you and start saying I. So when he doesn't clean, when he doesn't do this thing, say how you feel about it. She told him, like, I feel like you don't consider me when you don't clean. And we agreed that you would do that. So he said, oh, well, you know what? You're right. I'll do that. Just not attacking the person, not shaming the person, not belittling the person.
Changes a lot.
Changes the tone. And that makes a huge difference. Also, like, creating structure. Me and my wife, for example, every single Sunday we sit down and we go through the week. We say 3 things that we've done well. So 3 things I done well as a husband.
That's not bad. I do that without a wife.
It's like, well, 3 things. Well, like,
It's nothing bad.
It's so easy.
It's self-awareness, bro.
3 things I've done well. 3 things she's done well.
Mm-hmm.
3 things I could improve on.
Yep.
And 3 things that she'd want me to do next week.
Mm-hmm.
And next week might be like, well, I want you to fix that ceiling. You know, you told me you're going to fix the ceiling for a long time. Go fix it. So next week, I know one of the 3 things I need to do is fix that ceiling. That's it. In order for her to feel happy and loved and cherished in her relationship,
Absolutely correct.
she just wants me to go fix that ceiling.
Yeah.
Now, every week, imagine now 56 weeks where you've done 3 things for your partner. So now you can actually say and go back and say, I did X, Y, and Z. Now you know you're not just rushing time, because there's a lot of people that just get into the motion of it. Because once you get married, well, like, time flies. Weeks turn into days, turn into weeks turn into months. And now you're in years into the relationship. You're thinking, where did it go wrong? Mahada. It's because you never actually managed the relationship. You never actually invested into the relationship. People think happy marriages just exist out of accident. No, they were very intentional. In the same way, divorces are also by accident. So one day something happened, then resentment started, then one person kept things to themselves, then the other person kept things to themselves. Suddenly they don't really sleep in the same bed. Suddenly they don't speak to each other. Then down the line, I've cheated. Or just ifar. And the guy always says, like, well, came out of nowhere. No, Walal, she didn't say your name for the last 3 months. She didn't call you babe for the last 4 or 5 months. She didn't even check if you were home for the last 4 months. When did you not clock that? They're like, well, I don't know, man.
They're a bit slow on it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, man.
Soft you.
But also the girls, I'm like, you resented him for an unmet
No,
expectation.
don't.
So you didn't never communicated that you wanted this type of lifestyle or you wanted this from him, but you're punishing him for something that you didn't even tell him.
No.
And they're like, wallahi, you're right. Wallahi, what should I do? I'm like, communicate. Why don't you just tell him how you want to be loved? Why don't you just tell him? And I was telling him, let's sit down. Let's actually write down 10 things that you want from him that he was. Wallahi, sometimes they say to me, I just want him to get me flowers. I just want him to listen to me and get off his phone and actually pay attention. I want him to stop overworking and actually spend time with me. I want him to take me to the beach. I want him to write me a letter. It's like it's not like the biggest things. It's little things that they feel cared for and just like validated essentially. And the guys usually like, I want her to actually stop being rude. Yep. Or like, I want her when she speaks to me to speak to me with kindness. I want her, you know, when she does something for me,
let that
not to use. But come on now, Habibi.
Guys,
a lot of guys have the thing where, in order for you to be a raknimo, you have to kind of like go through the burden.
What burden? How are you gonna let your wife talk to you like that? If she says something, you gotta give her a look like.
But also you have to be patient as well. So the first thing she does, you can't be like, oh, I got Amos.
No, you give her the look like, do you know who you're talking to? It's not right.
Yeah.
And you explain yourself the first time, and then now when it happens again okay, look, one time's a mistake, second time you're taking the piss, but we're going to explain it again. Yeah. Now the first time, darling, sit over there and go think about your
You can
actions.
tell when someone's taking the piss when they've repeated the same thing. They don't really care about you. Especially if you said, here's my boundary.
Yep.
Well, I do not like to be spoken like that. And I did that with some girls. I do not like to be spoken like that. And they think, I can violate it. Yeah. And I always tell them, violate that boundary, you'll see how fast you disappear. And they disappear.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be honest with you. I feel like me and you, we're gonna be here for hours and hours and hours. Yeah. And I know, Hussein, you're screaming and shouting us behind the screen. But what I'd say is, I think we're definitely gonna have to have a part 2 for this with you, inshallah. And what I think is, maybe I'm gonna find a good female, but I think maybe we get a female to have a perspective from a single man's side and a single female side, because I want to document me going through your process. First of all, how quick, like how quick do you think you can get me married as a genuine individual?
It's so sad to say this, but
you're a hopeless cause.
But no. It's so sad to say this, but the number of girls that have signed up, it will be like a buffet for you.
Hey,
that's not a problem.
That's how.
But unfortunately, the criteria, if you're
but
saying
if you
the way you are saying, mashallah, like
no, but there's the people that we have. Allah Mubarak are genuine good people. The people
but I've met genuine good people as well, but we just aren't maybe not compatible.
But compatibility is the face that you show to them. Is being clear in what you want and being.
I'm not taking out no girl.
So what?
I'm just letting you know.
I thought we made progress today, man.
I thought we made progress today. He gave us a curveball.
No.
He said how quickly? He said I wasn't taking nobody out. They have to meet me online. Marry me online.
No, but inshallah, definitely, I want to go through this.
So we would facilitate that.
I mean, I want to look. Honestly, guys, I'm gonna give you the tea in it. I'm gonna go through it from A to B, from the whole journey. And inshallah, if this does.
But if we tell you, number one, if we tell you you're not ready to get married, but we're willing to train you to get married,
I will do that.
And we're willing to give you a therapist.
Yep.
Or me.
I wouldn't go for a therapist. I talk to myself in the mirror. I give my own advice.
No, there's people who are trained. To
but how can you be trained to be telling me like about
Hamza,
my
that's
traumas?
a whole nother kind of work.
I feel like you talking to me about therapy. You know, it's
I
studied sociology and psychology.
Yeah.
When I was at college, I even done a major in it in uni. I remember just for like one subject, but I know it's a techie subject.
Yeah.
I feel like you can talk to Allah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Allah said, "I provided you people of knowledge."
Absolutely.
So by saying I can talk to Allah, but not going to be provided with knowledge, you haven't tied your camel. And Allah will say to you the same way. If I broke a leg right now, and I said, "Oh Allah, fix my leg," Allah will say, "I provided you means to go fix your leg."
All right, I'll take the process. No, because you know, at the end of the day, you can't, like, I'm an individual. I will come and say my point. But at the end of the day, if it makes sense, is there any harm of me trying it?
No.
Then what's the reason? That's what you call compromise. And that's what a lot of these females don't have.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm trying to slide it in.
You got what I mean?
Nah.
But always at our shows, we always try to end it with a dilemma.
Alhamdulillah, go on.
Yeah, so Hussein.
Just one quick question before we go into the dilemmas. You were talking about divorce at the beginning of the episode. How do you know it's time to pull the plug?
Essentially, when the person is not benefiting your akhirah. So if the reason why you got married is for the sake of Allah, and you're with a person and they've emotionally abused you, physically abused you, and you're no longer close to Allah than before, and you're actually finding it to be hard in that marriage, Allah never allows somebody to suffer. The part of deen is not to suffer.
Yep.
So some people think, oh, patience or sabr is being passively suffering. No. Allah always allows you to. There's a reason why divorce also exists. If it was wrong and completely not allowed, Allah will never allow it to exist. So once you know that the situation that you're in does not serve your akhirah, I think it's time to.
I think back madogo barang magusa when the black bags are outside the door, brother, you know it's time to hit the road.
No, I would, especially if you're emotionally in a very dangerous, hostile.
What does that look like when it's no longer benefiting your akhirah? What does that look like?
So, for example, if you can't even concentrate in your salah, you can't even you can't even show up as your best self as a Muslim. You can't even do anything, and you struggle with any, because people need to understand the dangers of like choosing the wrong person. Like I always tell people, go make your dua, go make your istikhara, because the person that you are marrying could essentially kill you, either spiritually, emotionally, or physically. You're dead, and that person is very, very possible for you. And so when I get annoyed at people who go into relationships, stuff like that, is that because you haven't actually checked anything. You haven't done the research. You haven't asked them the right questions. You haven't done anything. So I've seen people who are just emotionally abusive. Yeah. We only care about the physical abuse because we can tap that one. We can say, well, so delay. Why are you with him? But what if somebody's manipulative? What if somebody's gaslighting you? What if somebody is using hoovering or triangulation or love bombing and then breadcrumbing, essentially?
I just found out about love bombing yesterday, you know.
Yeah, I was told, I was speaking to a girl, her husband, her boyfriend.
Situationship.
He's getting used to it now. He's getting into the lingo.
Situation. No, I don't use situation, but basically what he did was he love bombed at first, then he breadcrumbed. Yeah. So it's like, to make it math, he came in 100%. Flowers, gifts, time, text, everything available for all time. Then he dropped it down to 80. So 70. And she's thinking, yo, like, she chats to him. She's like, what are you saying? Like, what's going on? Like, you used to chat to me, you used to text me, you used to call me, what's going on? I was like, yo, like, I've been going through it. You know, it's a bit peak right now, but, you know, I'll fix up. So he brings it back up to 80. Now, she's thinking, because he improved a little bit, she's always thinking about that 100%. Then once he knows that she's clocked it, like she's okay with the 80, he brings it down to 50. She's thinking, yo, what's going on? Like, he's like, yeah, wallahi, like, you're right, man. Like, work is getting to me. Like, be patient with me, innit? Brings it back up to 60. Then he does the same thing again. Now he's gone all the way down. The process has been repeated so much.
10%.
It's gone all the way down to the point where she's now only getting like 10% or 20%. But she's happy with it because she's hopeful that he can do that 100% again, what he gave her at the beginning. And that's essentially why she's able to get breadcrumbs. Because nobody starts on breadcrumbing. Yeah. You can't breadcrumb somebody into it.
Kind of thing, yeah.
You can't go into it with a breadcrumb. You can't be like, I'm going to only chat to you on a Thursday, and then 3 weeks later, I'm not going to chat to you.
Well, I do that.
She'll tell you, well,
I'm busy.
Cool,
You know what I started doing? I started even saying, look, let's have like what you do on a Sunday. Yeah. Let's have a calendar point, and let's have a meeting, and let's have a chat if there's any issue.
Well, that's not breadcrumbing though. You haven't set up a standard where you speak to her 7 days in a week, and then 3 weeks later you're only speaking to her 30 minutes in one day. That's essentially what breadcrumbing is. Okay. Is when you give them only pieces, tiny pieces, enough just to keep them, just to keep them going, just to keep them going. To know
girls do that more than guys.
I think is guys.
Let's not get into the gender wars.
We both do it.
Let's not go in.
But what's the dilemma going?
Just to go off that last point that you were saying, you said once they get emotionally abusive and all of that stuff, how do you distinguish between an ebb and flow and this is just not working anymore?
Ebb and flow is where we're struggling together.
Hey.
Emotional abuse is I'm abusing you directly. I'm verbally abusing you. I'm subjugating you to emotional turmoil. That's different. Rupture is like when you're fighting each other, but you're fighting against a problem. So it's not you and her against each other. It's you against the problem.
So when you guys start fighting at each other, that's when you guys
start fighting at each other, and you guys are not even you don't have hadith for each other.
Yeah.
You don't have even shame for each other, where you don't say a certain thing. You just violate each other as much as possible, just to hurt the person as much as possible. I would say
once it becomes vindictive,
I would say then you would get somebody involved. Yeah. I always tell people, if you haven't tried every means, and then divorce should be the last thing. Yeah. If you went to a therapist, if you went to a counselor, if you went to a coach, if you went to your imam, you've done all those things and nothing worked out, then khalas, move on with your life, innit? Yeah. But if you say the first thing I'm gonna do is get divorced, whenever a problem arises, then you can never have 50-year marriages. You can never have consistent longevity.
A wise man once said it's not all about longevity, though. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the dilemmas.
Go on.
My past keeps catching up with me. I have changed as a woman, and I am no longer outside. I have devoted my life to Allah.
Yeah,
I'm no longer outside.
Bro, the man just kept quiet like as though that was okay. That just let her run. Bro, you're the gun.
Hamsa, I'm no longer outside.
Okay.
Brother, forgive her. I have
Forgive
devoted
Allah.
I have devoted my life to Allah and want to genuinely get married, but my past keeps up and scaring brothers away. I prayed on it so many times. I don't have brothers, and I want you guys to advise me, basically.
How's that past keep coming out? How's your CRB checking? You know.
Nah, it keeps coming up with red flags, man. She got fired
How?
from this job, got fired from that job.
Then at the end of the day, maybe she needs to. You know, one thing I heard. Yeah, if like now, let's say in London, like it's not going well for you or anything.
How you go somewhere else?
Leave.
You saying CRB is
Come
clean
back,
in
Mesha.
Manchester?
Yeah.
Bro, that's what I did. I went to America. Abti, the world
He's a new
opened up.
He's got a different walk. He's got a different walk.
I came back to England talking about, gonna take me back on a date. I'm not going on a date. Keep it because I see something different.
You saying a whole new world?
A whole
No,
new
but
world.
honestly, yeah, exactly. He answered it already. If London's not working out for you, then make dua that someone else works out for you, innit?
Yeah, man.
Because if you've already essentially repented, first of all, you shouldn't be punishing people for what they repented.
And people should know
holding
you
them-
about your sins.
Yeah, people should never know about your sins. You
Exactly.
should never. If anyone ever tells you, "Yo, like how far you've gone,"
Yeah,
don't ever share that.
Don't
Yeah.
tell
Don't
them.
ever share that. Don't ever tell people anything about your past. Matter of fact, don't even tell them you've had a bad
Yeah.
relationship.
Let them think whatever they think.
Yeah,
Tell
No,
them, let them
I
think
always
whether
tell
they think
people,
you're a dirtbag.
if they ask you about your ex-husband or your ex-wife, tell them that they were the best partner ever. They
Yeah.
just passed away.
Yeah.
Or they were best partner ever. Just or he wanted to live in a different place and then I changed and I didn't want to live in there anymore.
Yeah.
Always don't tell, because people will actually violate you for that. Because they'll say you got cheated on. I'm about to do it twice.
Yeah.
You got violated. I'm about to do it more because I know what you've accepted in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
I think you're
You
gonna
let it
accept
run.
it again,
Yeah.
which is very horrible. Wallahi.
Got
Alright.
another one for us because I thought we was gonna have a.
Next
Yeah.
dilemma. I've got a problem. I want to get married. However, I meet and talk to a girl for a while, and I just get bored.
Then you're not
Then
ready.
you're
to
not
get
ready.
married.
He needs to sort
Yeah.
himself
Go
out.
on, elaborate on that.
Because essentially, you're looking just for a time.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for a good time. You're not here for a long time.
Yeah.
You're not really serious about a marriage, because essentially a marriage is you saying to the person, hey, I'm willing to nurture you and I'm willing to learn about you for life.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to go through this thing with you. If you decide that you can't do it, then don't even start it. And there's a lot of people who tell me, but I get bored though. It's because you never went with the right intentions. You
Go
never
on. So
you
what-
never went in actually thinking about Allah. Because how did you, if you thought about Allah and you actually picked the right person for yourself, or you actually weren't just talking to any willy-nilly, going this, there, over there, and you actually direct about it, then you wouldn't get bored of people. You would know who you want
Yeah.
and you would go for that person. But if a constant thing where every time you speak to somebody you get bored, it's crazy.
No, I don't think he's necessarily speaking about that. I think more so he's speaking about that initial spark, that initial attraction where he can't get enough for that person.
But how does he
That's-
continue
that's-
talking? That's a joke.
That's
How can you?
That's called catharsis.
Anyone you speak to straight away,
Yeah.
you might not get the spark, but you can tell if it's gonna be that. It's because everyone, I get shy at the beginning. If it's someone like you don't know, so you have to get to like each other to some extent. You have to let the person open
You have
up.
to learn about somebody. You can only love somebody that
It's
you
sabr
you
as well.
learn
Where's
about.
the sabr?
But if you're essentially expecting movie style spark to come out of you, then you're deluded.
Yeah.
So you're not serious. You're actually deluded, because you're thinking about movies. You're thinking about this butterfly feelings. And I always tell people, butterflies is anxiety. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Matter of fact, the more that you actually trust somebody, your body relaxes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you actually feel calm and at ease with the person.
That's what I try
But they
to do
think
with
boredom, being at ease and being calm,
No.
is boredom. Therefore, I shouldn't be with you. But the other person gets they get my blood pumping. Yeah, well, your body's on fight or flight. Your body's on fight or flight. You're about to run away. Your body's about to collapse at any moment.
Yeah.
So why would you put yourself in that? Also, you can't sustain it for a long period. You
Yeah.
can't sustain that.
Listen, Abdul Wahab, I would love to continue talking to you. We're almost up to like 2 hours at this point. I think we're gonna need a part 2 because we have loads of questions for you.
I got more to be fair.
100, because Wallah is turning into intervention for Hamza.
No, do you know what it is?
100.
Wallah, I think it's understanding, innit? Like for you, alhamdulillah, you're married.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, I'm not saying I'm a great person. I'm not saying I'm the worst person. I'm just an individual, just out here trying to seek a certain marriage in a world that we live in, that is westernized, that's Muslim, that we grew up in. But at the same time, we have a taqan, we have a religion, and we have a way of life that we are meant to get married. And at the end of the day, it's just crashing barriers constantly with people smashing heads, and things are changing, society's changing, the world's coming to an end, balai. It's just really trying to understand it and trying to see, you know what, hitch of Somalia. Wait, not the Sudan. Our Sudan. We have to come to our Sudan and understand it and try to ask, okay, cool, we have these problems, we have that problems. And I feel like what I want to do after is, when we get a chance, is maybe the day that next time we come on part 2, we ask people to either call in or send their messages in and actually see these problems that our society are feeling. And people can be like, you know what, I heard it on XYZ and I can benefit them. Because at the end of the day, we're only here to benefit our people. And everyone else that can benefit from it as well, you know what I mean? But well, honestly, Jazakallah for coming festively.
No, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
It was honestly, we had to jump into the budget to get you. It was difficult, but and you know what's crazy, and not a lot of people might know. I met the Akhi, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Scope.
I met you at Scope, and that was my first ever Somali event.
Yeah.
I came to Scope.
Yeah.
I came to Scope, my Somalis in my own industry, and to have a bit of faith. To have a bit of faith in that people. And wallahi, great host you are. Honestly, great host. The only problem was you didn't let people know I was single and I was waiting to get married. But he let other people. I see he was selling out there. He's like, yo, I got my bedroom. I have Abdi, Farah here, and Muhammad.
But you didn't come up to me,
no, but I was gonna come up to you and say, you know, I'm available. But you know what? I didn't want to steal the show because I knew everyone was gonna line up for me anyway. But no, apart from that, well, thank you very much, and it's appreciated. And on that note, please make sure on the socials you got. What socials we looking for to add?
So the Love Lens.
Yep.
That's on YouTube as well.
Brilliant.
So and
you got a podcast as well, right?
Yeah, it's called the Love Lens Podcast.
There we go.
And
your book. Where can they find your book?
So my book, Can I Ask You a Question, is on Amazon.
Perfect.
And inshallah, the PDF version will be on my stand store soon.
Perfect. Inshallah. If you give us the link, it's going to be on the bottom of the
and YouTube. I don't know when it's going to be out, but my book launch is on 10th of May.
Yeah, I remember you saying, the other guy's book.
He's already done.
I saw it. I was watching it.
He went to Canada, man.
Yeah, he's already gone. I see his thing, mashallah.
Hey, there's good things coming out of Canada, boy.
Yeah, do you know what it is?
Beautiful book.
That guy specifically, inshallah, I want to get him onto this podcast. That guy there, absolute great talker. Great bloody talker. As a Somali, like, bro, I didn't even know there's people like this existed in this thing. Also, what about your normal socials that you want to add?
So, my Somali TikTok is Abti Wahab.
Mashallah.
But my Instagram is Abti Wahab H as well. Abti Wahab H has always been my
mashallah. Please, guys, make sure you subscribe, follow, and comment on these things. We're all brothers and we're all here to support each other and help each other.
100.
And on that note, I need a Halimo. He's gonna cook me on top. I appreciate it and I hope you have a lovely one. We're out.